Sorry, I got distracted.
Okay.
Alrighty. Let's see. Move my mic back a little bit.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Hey, Blizzrad, thanks for renewing your sub. Naz, if you could maybe move your mic a little bit closer, or you were kind of quiet last time you spoke.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should I just boost you? I'm kind of low energy currently.
There you go. Perfect.
I've been going.
You can be low
basic-
energy,
well,
just not low volume.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Let's see. I started my day at about 9:40, 9:30-ish. And basically, so I did stuff in the morning. Then I had work 1 to 5. Then I had a migraine, so I had to take a nap. And then I had another thing to do from 7 to 9. And then I had to rush to get the background not destroyed as it was 10 minutes ago.
Clean your room,
Yeah,
Naz.
it's been a very, very full. Like, the words you say sound like I'm being irresponsible, but like, and I know this from many other people. Like, housework is the last thing on the list. You have a job, you have family responsibilities, whatever it is. Your house is so far down the list. Like, I get the car fixed. What's the thing? You have to do registration re-upped and clean the car and go to work and
Goddamn responsibilities.
yeah. Saving up for an actual car, now a free car that's literally made of rust and falling apart.
So you're driving around in a Drake. Got it.
Very much so a Drake. It might as well be a Cutter. Like, honestly, it's a minivan that was gifted to us because our last van died.
How dare you besmirch the Cutter? The
What?
Cutter
It's
is...
a great. No, the van's great. The Cutter's great. It is. They are both utility like boxes that move at some speed and transport lots of goodies. I'm not lowering either of them. I like my van, and I like
just making sure. Welcome everybody to episode 80 of the Pathfinders podcast. We are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and their development. I am Tree0311, here with my partner in crime.
Hello, everyone. I am post-migraine Nazeris.
Post-migraine Nazeris. Special edition Nazeris.
Yeah.
And we've got our... thank you for coming hanging out with us on your New Year's Eve. If you're in Australia, you're already in 2025. Let us know how it's going and if we should stop time and reverse course. Yeah.
No, the U.S. has a very particular, interesting year ahead.
Yes. Oh boy, does it? Yeah, it's a dumpster fire. Reverse course. all reverse. No, not all ahead.
What was the all reverse engines? Oh,
all engines reverse full power.
what was the Asian? I think it was I don't know if it was anime or I know it was animated. It was an Asian movie, The Wandering Earth. The Wandering Earth. That's what it was. They had giant thrusters on the planet. So like, yeah, we could definitely do backwards time. In the Earth backwards.
Nice. Yep. Make it happen. Blizzrad, thanks again for renewing your sub and for being a mod. But thanks for coming and hanging out with us on this New Year's Eve. Obviously, I don't have New Year's Eve plans because I have tiny children and I'm married and my wife goes to bed at like 8 o'clock. You could be anywhere, but you're here with us, so we appreciate it. We just really wanted to get one more show in for the end of the year, especially because most of November and like all of December.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Hey, yep. Victoria, thanks for renewing your sub. Appreciate it. Pardon me. But it's been a bit of a ghost town here on the Pathfinders podcast for like 6+ weeks. And it's largely been due to my personal life, which has been a bit of a dumpster fire.
If you have asked me in the past month or so, like, hey, when you have time, it would have been just as difficult as getting this one going. Like,
yeah,
it has been absolutely busy.
I knew I couldn't commit to anything, so I didn't even bother. but the that part is largely behind me and my family. We're moving on, um, and making the best of it. But I wanted to get one more show in before the new year, so we got it. We're
Nice.
coming in at the very end, just like 4.0.
Literally, we're going to ride Pathfinders into the new year.
Yeah,
Nice.
literally gonna, quite literally.
Yeah. So,
Um, but yeah,
your
so
schedule's gonna like get better. My schedule's probably gonna stay as crazy, if not crazier, over the course of the year. Like my yearly plans is so I have a vacation my first ever vacation and in March.
ooh, where are you going? This will be
Colorado
the
to go meet
buggiest
a
Pathfinder.
friend.
You're going to
Um,
Colorado in March. I'm going to Colorado in February.
nice. So I'm
Cool.
going to go meet a friend that, ironically, I met after like a couple months after we moved out of Colorado. Come to
I
find
didn't
out,
even know
he
you
was
lived in
like,
Colorado.
"Yep, New York, Florida, Colorado, currently North Carolina, and possibly beginning of 26, New York again." Um,
Oh, wow.
yes. So I'm going in March to Colorado to go meet the friend that I met post leaving Colorado, but now I'm going to go back and visit for about a week in March. Well, end of February, starting of March.
Very
Um,
cool.
and then come back, finish saving up for car, buy car, save up for moving, move. So first half 2026 is the plan.
Oh man,
So
like New
yeah.
York City, New York, or just
No, I'm not that
okay.
rich.
I was gonna say, man, you crazy.
No, actually, funnily enough, the place that I'm currently looking at, which I don't expect to be there in a year, but if it is, that will be my house. Not owning, but renting, because it's like the only house for rent, nuzzled in this little. It's in Albany, New York.
Oh, okay, more upstate then.
Yet we actually used to live around there several times.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I've known people who have lived in upstate New York and have heard nice things compared to New York City, New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much more New England ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They got real rain. They got real snow. Something I don't get here.
forests and hills
I
and
got
stuff, and
forests. Yeah, hills
yeah,
I don't really have. We have swamps. We have swamps here.
hmm
Just that
yeah.
rain. Everyone has a swamp.
This next year I'm going to be on active duty for quite a bit.
Oh wow.
I got yeah, because I got promoted, and so now I'm contractually obligated to go to the leadership course. So I have
Mm.
the best part is the first the first live portion is distance learning. So I'll be in front of my computer Monday through Friday, 6 days a week in a virtual
Holy crap.
classroom. Yeah, or 5 days a week for 6 weeks, starting in April, and then I have to go to Fort Knox for 2 weeks in June, and then I have to go back to Fort Rucker in Alabama, probably in October for 2 weeks.
I thought you were
Um,
retiring. What happened to the
no,
retiring plan?
no, I wish. No, far from it. Um,
You were doing something that was supposed to give you like buckets and buckets of free time. What was it that
well,
you were
I
planning
did
on?
go part time at my full time job. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
that's what it was.
yep. Yeah. It's just because like, I was too often between the army and my full time job doing, yeah, still staying flight medic, but because I'm a staff sergeant now, I have to go to the leadership course that I've been putting off, and and I also have to go through two different courses. One of them will probably be in October of this year. The other one will probably be at the beginning of 2026. But those are clinical trainings, so that'll be good. Um, but yeah, since I'm part time with a civilian job, I spend more time with the army, and schedule's a little bit more flexible, and I'm more the primary homemaker, and my wife is the primary breadwinner, which is just trading one stressor for another. But
Yep.
I'd much rather be home with the kids and taking care of the house than you know working. So, um, but yeah,
You excited
so
for it?
for the training, yes, I enjoy training and education, especially. the leadership training, meh, whatever. But I'll be home here in front of my computer for 5 days a week for 6 weeks on active duty, and I make more money on active duty as a staff sergeant than I do at my civilian job. So it's a pay raise to not go anywhere and be off at like 4 p.m. every day, and so and it's from what I'm told, it's fairly straightforward. There's some writing involved, but like I've got a degree, I've done this before. It's not hard.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, and I'm hoping I'll get to play more video games during that period. Not while I'm in class. Yeah, but
Maybe.
in the evenings and stuff. Yeah. So for tonight, we're going to cover the letter from the. It could
you get
be.
To stay home.
Yeah.
You get to be with your family more.
Mm-hmm.
You get a pay raise, and you get like more video game time. Like that's like the holy grail of situations.
Yeah. Yeah. April through
and you get to
mid-May.
love your job. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be nice, and the other training will take me away from home, but it means I get to go travel a little bit and again make more money and do cool stuff. So it'll be good. But yeah, 2025 is going to be interesting. We're hopefully no more big life changes.
I'll take all those this year.
Yeah. You bless your heart. You go go nuts. But yeah, before we get launched into this episode, because we're going to cover the letter from the chairman first, and then I wanted to peruse the patch watches. They started coming out in like November, but I wanted to review those in the context of what they mean for 4.0 and for Star Citizen, because no one, very few people cover the patch watches, and there's usually some gold in there. So I wanted to peruse, browse those because we haven't covered those on the show. And now that 4.0 is live, a lot of people still aren't aware of those things because they do kind of fly under the radar, quite literally. Before we do that, I wanted to, because I just watched the trailer like a day or two ago. What are you thinking? What do you think about the announcement for Space Engineers 2?
Oh, I've bought it the second it was able to be bought, and I will probably be dedicating my life to that game when it comes to. So, it's funny. Like, there was a lot of questions. Like, everyone knew they were making something, either a major update to Space Engineers 1 or working on a new Space Engineers like title, whether they name it Space Engineers 2 or not. And so everyone was kind of like, how are they going to release it? And a lot of a good like central majority, I don't know how I want to phrase that anyway, was going with they'll probably do an actual, just an early access and release, but they're actually following the exact same path they did for the first one. So it's going to come out a very, very small alpha on the 27th of, give it 2 hours this month. And I think it's January. And it's going to be just creative and just the graphics updates, the UI updates, and the unified grid update. No planets, no water, none of that stuff. But there's going to be they have a roadmap already. They have a whole bunch of features and multiplayer is even down the road. So they're going to take features, put them into the alpha, work on them till they're happy, then move another feature in, work on them. So a lot of people are kind of miffed at it. I don't know what you thought was raised from the dead or canned. No, they've just been working really hard on rebuilding the entire engine to basically do plants and water and ray trace graphics for the past year or two. I think it's been 2 years. They completely rebuilt their V-Rage engine, so now we're on V-Rage 3. And my favorite feature so far is that I will get all the blocks on small grid because now there is only one grid. And they always hated small grid. Now I can build, hopefully, bigger things with smaller blocks because we now have 3 sizes, the 2.5, 0.5, and 0.25 meter blocks.
That was you just answered the question I was going to ask is what, out of the things that they're doing and doing differently or adding to it, what was the the thing that you're most excited for, and that seems like it's it.
Yeah.
The grid
So
changes.
I tried building a cargo ship. I don't know if you've seen it. Not the bulk, but a different cargo ship. And it just had basically this giant frame for the front end. And when I actually got halfway done building out that frame, and basically Space Neutral said, "Okay, you're done," because it was so detailed physically. So the physics shapes of it were too complex. Because it was small grid and it was a lot of just kind of structure.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping because we have one grid, it's going to be way more optimized, and the engine physics are now updated and optimized. That kind of scale and complexity can actually be built using the uh, fidelity of what I'd like to build. So that's my hope, is maybe even resurrect that project, because it really didn't get off the ground because I was focusing on that cargo framework first before doing anything else. It was like 500-meter
So,
long or something.
like, I'm guessing the physics engine didn't like it.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
they
what?
have a limited amount of physics shapes. So imagine just boxes, and
Hmm.
how the ship can be broken up into however many boxes. So if you
Hmm.
have a T, that needs to be two different boxes.
Gotcha.
So it was a lot of structure bits that didn't have a lot of large blocky areas. It was all little details. So like a lot of I beams and a lot of like scaffolding bits. So there wasn't a lot of optimization the engine could do with this ship. So I'm hoping the optimizations to the engine itself will allow for higher physics block counts.
The your lods were too high.
Yes. Except
Yep.
physics logs, and those don't
Yeah.
shrink. Or at least they didn't
Yeah.
shrink on the first engine. So we'll see what they do with the next one. It's only started
So,
Satisfactory 4 days ago, and it's been 56 hours later.
wow. I'm impressed.
uh,
Someone's making good use of their Christmas
there's
break.
always another belt to place. Satisfactory is
Yeah, no
great.
joke.
I love
Hmm.
Satisfactory. Except I will spend 3 hours making a light pole. Like I forget there's a mod that lets you like nudge stuff. That
But is
takes
it a
like
ray
a good
trace light pole?
hour. You can actually do ray tracing in Satisfactory. Um, there's a mod that lets you like nudge stuff with the arrow keys. That takes away easily an hour of editing of like your builds. If you don't have that, it's like place a block to place another block to get the spacing right to place your actual block. Then you have to delete everything. It's to because of how the grids work. There's actually like 5 or so different grids you have to play with. To like, there's the world grid, there's the foundation grid, and the foundation grid is relative. Well, everything but the world grid is relative. So there's the foundation size grid, and then there's the detail size grid. So if you place like a catwalk, it has a smaller grid than a foundation does. So you can actually use these grids to basically do grid math to get to place stuff where you actually want to place it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that is way too complicated for me at this point.
Yeah, if you ever want something that's way too complicated to be actually in a video game, look at Voxelmancy.
Hmm. Blizzard is doing a nuclear power plant at the moment, and oh my god, the complications plus the amount of water I need. Of course, you're doing a
Yeah.
nuclear power plant. Hmm. Yep.
Especially your,
Yeah.
yeah,
At least
I don't get to
only in a
nuclear
video
stuff.
game would I trust Blizzard with nuclear with fissile
I wouldn't
material.
even trust it there. Well, wow. At least he's got his own pocket universe for it. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a MMO environment that I am inside.
Just wait till they add reactors to Star Citizen.
Hmm. For sure. Well, let's go ahead and switch screens, and we'll get into the letter from the chairman. And about 2/3 of the way down, we're going to get to a section, and I'm going to play a video before we start reading that section, and it will make sense once we get there. But I was like, there's no way Chris Roberts didn't see this, and you know, there's no way that this video or this clip did not influence him writing this. So you'll see what I mean in a minute.
Interesting. Yeah, use blueprints. Gosh darn, do it. It will save you so much freaking time. It will take you a minute to like get like how to plan ahead properly, but freaking use blueprints. It helps so much. Like make some like general blueprints, like just what are they called? Manifolds or furnace setups. Like they help so much because you're always doing it. All right.
So this is
So-
let's see. For the last couple of years, we've just been getting letters from the chairman just at the end of the year. We used to get them more often, and then we didn't get any for a little bit. And before that, we were getting them like every quarter. It's been kind of sporadic, but there's been quite a few of them over the years. But they are generally a good source of high level information, and there's a lot of things that you can that I regularly go back to in terms of good quotables, particularly in terms of the development for the big tech achievements, which we have now largely achieved. But this is from the horse's mouth, Chris Roberts himself, and so he puts these out, and it's usually a recap, but also a recap of the year, but also talking about what their plans are going forward and what they're aiming for, what their motivations are and such. So it's a good insight into CIG, but also the people at the top of CIG, because it isn't just Chris.
yeah. No,
yeah.
it's the driver of the project, Rich Tyra.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do enjoy Rich. He doesn't ramble as much as he used to. I feel like his energy is a little bit more subdued now than it was 5 years ago.
And every time he speaks, it like I don't know if it's just me buying into it too much, but like once you like hear him talk about the project, he gets it, and he like you trust him to bring it to where they say they're working on.
Yeah, he's got his head wrapped around the vision. He knows what it is, and I feel like he does a better job than Chris conveying what that is in terms of in ways that everybody else will be able to make sense of. Oh yeah, he's definitely enthusiastic. I love his enthusiasm. He's just not. He just doesn't seem to ramble like he used to. He's a bit when he's on camera and he's talking to us, like when he was on with John Crew, he definitely felt like he was more structured. And when he was up there at CitizenCon, he we haven't seen him ramble like he used to when he would come on with Chris, or other times where he would just go on and Jared would just look at the camera like, wow, he's still talking. So yeah. I'll go ahead and start off, and Naz and I are just going to take turns. But this one is shorter than previous letters from the chairman, which some might say is a good thing. I'm all for more information, but the information we do get is a good little inside peek. So long ago, lost in the mists of time before COVID, at CitizenCon 2949, which is the one before in Manchester, we showcased the first in-game prototype of traveling from the Stanton system to the Pyro system via a jump point. If you remember the Carrack going from Microtech and through the jump point. After a much longer than anticipated development process, good that they acknowledge that.
The one you use for your intro?
Yep. Mm-hmm. That very one. What was teased in 2019 becomes a reality for all players when we launch Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 to the live servers as part of what we are calling the 4.0 preview. For the first time in our history, we will run 2 live releases in parallel, each with their own progress and persistence. This means that you'll have the unique opportunity to choose which version you want to dive into, at least for a little while. It'll be interesting to find out when that stops.
I would love to know the population of 324.
Oh yeah,
now.
Yeah, I've been
because I don't know, because none of your progress or persistence will persist. If you play in 4.0, it will persist. So you're playing on a dead world.
Yep. Yeah, you can make progress on that branch only. So, what's the point? Yeah. I've heard that it is a ghost town. I haven't even checked it since 4.0 went to live. I haven't even Haven't been back. No need, no interest, no need.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
At this stage, we both want and need the high traffic of a live release to thoroughly test server meshing and the newly refactored systems that rely on it as they go through their final paces. So, if this does not ring a bell to you, it's because you don't remember 318 or the post-mortem from 318 and everything that came from that in the launch of PES. PES and 318 were pushed to live because they weren't getting enough concurrency in PTU to thoroughly test it. And so they had to move it to live in order for us to thoroughly test it. And well, that, we broke it. We did a good job of it. But this is the same thing. It was in ePTU for however long, a couple months. And they had gotten to the point, and I bring this up because I can't tell you how many content creators in the community were saying, no, don't release it yet. It isn't ready. No, it is, it's not going to get ready. It's not going to get more ready. We were in the same boat as 318. The big difference is they didn't do things for 4.0 and server meshing like they did for 318 with the big bang approach and dropping all the new services, in a bundle. 4.0 is the culmination of 3.21, 3.22, 3.23, 3.24, and everything they've introduced in those points and tested, from Evo to live. The addition of server meshing is the last step of all the things that they added in that time frame that we tested. Where PES had like 8 to 12 brand new services that had not been tested in a live environment, and they all had to go in together at the same time. And so you had a multiplicative factor of why things broke and why it was so hard to track them down and fix them. But they're at the same point. They had reached, they'd gotten as much value out of the testing in ePTU as they could, and so they had to kick it alive because it wasn't going to get any better because they weren't getting any more new data. There wasn't anything else. It wasn't getting stressed where they could continue to iterate on it in a meaningful way before pushing it to live. So that's why we'll read on here in a second. They did what they did. We acknowledge that we did not have time to get all the mission types working before our holiday break, which is why we have decided to temporarily support 2 parallel live tracks. Alpha 3.24.3 will remain available so you can play the missions and engage in game loops that are not working to our new playability standards in 4.0. That's the thing. The mission,
I thought
the
that
mission
sentence
refactor
was
is in.
hilarious.
Which one?
That like our new playability standards. So like they're upping the playability standards. So the playability in 4.0 may be just as bad as 3.3, but they have a higher standard now, so they're not done with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like, I get what you're saying. You want a higher quality thing, but like it's already like the new one or the old one's as bad as the new one. I don't know. I just thought the whole decision to run 2 of them and calling this one preview was a bit like, I understand, but I don't agree. Just kick it and be done with it.
It's one of those things where it didn't hurt them to just hedge their bets, and so they're like, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah.
We know it's going to be a ghost town, but at least we can say that we gave people the option, for people who, and if things don't go well, what have you. The using the mission refactor, it is a bit of a cop out, because it's more just 3.24.3 is on, it's like that's on the 4.0 branch, and it hasn't, it's the .24 branch has never been in great shape. It's definitely gotten a lot better, but it's not, perfect by any means. So playability standards, it's like, okay, well, the standard wasn't that high to begin with, so it's like, all right, well, fine.
But we do have to give them the credit. Like they are now on the track to 1.0, and as we'll read later, like the first thing they're going to tackle is getting the current live environment to a kind of release type of playability.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
While they work on the big features to make the game that they want to call 1.0.
Yeah. Socially confused. There is quite a few missions in Pyro, but not everything that you have in 3.24.3 in Stanton is available in Pyro. So there is a good amount of stuff to do, but there's a lot of missions that have to be updated to work with the new mission refactor. And so DJ and Elliot still have a lot of work to do to go through each one of those and go through what we've had before and make it work with the new. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. It's just it's the legacy missions, the older stuff.
So do you know if they're just kind of like ad hocing the old stuff in, or are they rewriting it to work?
I don't know, and I was looking to see if anyone had said anything. I know that those are the ones that are not in. That there's missions in Pyro, mercenary missions, bounty hunter missions, basic hauling missions, but like the investigation missions, for example, not in Pyro, nothing. Let's see what else. Box missions aren't in.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done an investigation mission in years, or at least a year.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing them, but that's just mostly because I like doing them for RP purposes for my 0 to hero.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely looking forward to when they get refreshed, because so many of them are broken and they don't work very well. And there's like multiple the cave ones are just a coin toss of whether they're going to work, and even the derelict ones in spaceships and stuff, if they spawn correctly, is a toss up. So I'm really hoping that, like you mentioned, that they get refactored in order to work with the mission, the new mission service.
Mission service, the economy that they're working on to prepare for Star Sim, and what's the dynamic mission system and all that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they're not available in Stanton or in Pyro, simply because they're not compatible with the mission service refactor, which is it's not local to Pyro. It's the whole replaces the old mission service, and it's unique to each unique to the new shards.
Yeah.
The cargo
this is
missions.
The reason why they didn't do the ATC refactor.
Yep.
Back in when they had to put in instance hangars, is because all the little edge cases that they weren't going to be able to do in time, or perceivably do in time. So this was the same fear they had for the instance hangars.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
they just chose to do refactor, so we gotta live with the choice.
It's tech debt, big and big tech debt, and it's probably going to be a while before they catch up on it, and this is just one aspect of tech debt for them. Meanwhile, the 4.0 preview will also be accessible from your launcher as a second live option. If you are not interested in previewing 4.0, you can simply select Alpha 3.24.3 from the dropdown and continue enjoying the current live build. This may feel like our usual PTU process, but there's one key difference. By running both builds on the live environment, we can take steps to ensure that your progress on 4.0 will carry over. Our goal is for anything you do and earn in the 4.0 preview to persist without any further wipes. You are starting fresh in 4.0 preview. It is a wipe. Unless something major happens, though we do not anticipate that. Well, there's already some pretty significant exploits when it comes to mission sharing and people getting real rich.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because you can. I don't know if it's all missions, but you can share missions with large groups and everybody gets paid, and whether you're there or not, and so you make a crap ton of money, and That said, it's important to note that progress made in Alpha 324.3 will remain tied to that version and will not transfer to 4.0 because there's a wipe. This allows us to maintain a clean slate for the new systems coming online in the 4.0 preview, ensuring a consistent and stable environment as we look to deprecate 324.3 in the new year. Yeah, exploits are boring, and it's like, why are people so short-sighted? But at the same time, like if you find the exploit, then they can fix the exploit. But it's like, quit trying so hard to cheat. Yeah.
It's just exploit. Is just a different game. It turns it into a different game.
Mhm.
Like people play Cookie Clicker. Like they just like seeing numbers go up. Some people exploit just to see numbers go up.
Yep.
Just makes
Yeah.
it a different game for them.
Monkey brain, dopamine hit, all that.
Yep.
The ATC transit factor is really that's necessary for dynamic meshing, because right now we don't have any servers separating parts of landing zones or stations.
And it's struggling
Pardon me.
hard to do the ATC stuff for jump points. They
They had to pull that.
need to be applauded and then put in an asylum for making ATC deal with jump points.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, it did not like that. I don't know if anyone was around when they were talking about the just absolute failure of ATC in the first few times they had it for jump points. Oh boy, congratulations on getting it working, everyone who worked on it. I hope you enjoy your holiday break and don't think about work at all. Because holy crap, that must have been stupid difficult.
It's going to be interesting to see if they bring that back or how that I've made four total jumps now, and I have had no issues whatsoever each time. No, that you used to. You don't have to anymore. But you did they removed that. When did they remove that?
Because
At some point during EPTU. Yeah, because it was breaking so often and wasn't working.
Not everyone, very loud amount of community said, well, that makes absolutely no sense. I have to call ATC to get a wormhole to open.
Mm-hmm.
DS9 played that note a lot. And the ifs ands about somebody controlling a jump point or a wormhole, and
that's why I wanted the gate. The gate makes sense, for ATC, and the gate makes sense for,
close the iris, make it a Stargate.
If you want the UEE to control traffic through the jump point, well, then they need to control the jump point and have the gate. The gate opens and closes.
We should have at least one gate.
Yeah.
In Seoul.
Oh yeah, I feel like the gates should be everywhere the UEE controls the jump point. If they don't control the jump point, no gate. No gate, no station, nothing.
DS9 wormhole. What do you want about the DS9 wormhole? To another sector, which we'll probably get eventually, 10 years down the road when they build out an entire other section of the universe for us to go explore.
Yeah. Okay, that's that section. So your turn. Yes.
Jumpers. As you navigate through Stanton Pyro, you are now also navigating seamlessly through a mesh of servers that encompass the entire game. Each planet, landing zone, or major station is now covered by different game servers. Thanks to this technology, server boundaries are effectively invisible, even at our high levels of fidelity, ensuring smooth, uninterrupted gameplay. This means that server performance, playability, and overall health are now local to each of the nodes in the server mesh. Even dreaded server crashes are now localized to those regions, with players in other areas of space or on planets unaffected. It means improved performance as each server is simulating fewer entities, resulting in more responsiveness and allowing the game we are striving to create finally shine through its content. 4.0 is not just 3.24 with server meshing. It also includes a lot of new content with additions. With the addition of Pyro, we have further pushed our reputation system to include 2 competing mission chains that allow you to align with either headhunters or citizens for prosperity. This means areas that were previously neutral will become hostile or friendly depending on your choice. This decision will become even more important next year as we start to put greater focus on storytelling inside the verse.
Oh
Very nice.
boy.
And hopefully greatly expanding that, like, guild reputation, or versus guild reputation, or was it faction versus faction? Like,
Hmm.
you gotta start somewhere. So they chose headhunters and citizens for prosperity, but like that's supposed to be literally every faction, every company. So like if you, I don't know, get good reputation with Kovalex, like another shipping company won't like you as much, but you'll have better guild whatever. So like this
Yeah,
whole
your
like
guild rep will go up, but your rep with the other companies might go down. You might not get offered their contracts.
right.
Redwind be like, no, we're
Yeah,
not
Redwind.
offering you a job. You work for Kovalex. Like,
Yeah, you can't double dip. Yes. Yeah, like I really look forward to that entire system to be much more fleshed out, and also to give me stupid perks for being such a good hauler.
yep.
Give me the little toy containers
Yeah.
and models. Like I want all these like miniaturized things in the game. They have so many. Like all the Crusader ships have like all the sizes in like handheld desk ornament, or like these giant models you can put in like rooms. Like they need to make all the objects in the game viable somewhere. Do it
Can
interaction or
you
what is it, interactable
move
TV.
your mic a little bit closer or speak up a little bit more? You're just really quiet.
I'm sorry.
Not too loud.
I will try.
Not too much. There you
I
go.
will try. I'll try.
I know you're subdued right now, but
Let's see. Next, we have also introduced contested zones within major stations in Pyro, each heavily manned by a gang faction, Fire Rats, Horizon, or Zero Threat. These large, sprawling locations offer high quality reward in the depths of their vaults, but but you will need to contend with the current occupants and either help or battle your fellow players. They are also home to the mysterious Pyro amalgamated component boards, which some say can lead to even greater rewards. This type of content is an important milestone as we start to introduce different ways for players to progress in the game, with reputation and physical rewards being something we aim to push even further in future patches. Now, a lot of people love contested zones,
I've
and
been
they are just
having
all
fun.
for. I
Pardon me.
don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something, but I couldn't care less. This is so far removed from why I would even open Star Citizen.
Yeah, it's a sort of a kind of a dungeon, I guess you'd say. It's for me, it's a novelty, and it's I'm a loot goblin. Well, there's a lot of loot in there, and so I want to
Yeah,
go get it, and collect the things. Um, I've
but
been
I don't
playing
want
them
to do a
more of
combat
a
dungeon.
yeah, and that's the thing is like the novelty is going to wear off for me. I've been doing them just because I want to see how the NPCs perform, and oh, Ratterid just gifted a sub to Danger Hobo. Thanks so much for the gift in that sub,
Yay.
Ratterid. I really appreciate it. Sorry having issues with your internet. Yeah, check out the VOD later. Just really appreciate the support and you coming out and hanging out. Happy New Year's, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's one of those things where it like I enjoy combat to an extent, but I also like I don't want to just do a combat only mission. I'm looking forward to missions where whether it's something like the contested zones or whatever, I want to go in there and there's combat involved, but there's other objectives that are not combat related. And that's why like I'm really looking forward to the repair, and hacking and other stuff. Like I want to have to fight my way to the server, but then I want to have to hack the server. Or
See,
or find my way to the thing to then repair it, and get it back up and running.
I would much rather the exact mission they showed off in what was it, 2019, the one you used for your intro, but the beginning where you actually snuck in
Mm-hmm.
and you did the whole like my so that kind of like to be in the same environment as combat, like a combat enabled environment. I I want the experience basically, and they've talked about this. They've talked about especially last year and a little bit this year with a lot of the features they're working on or they want to work on. The gameplay really lines up closely to Hitman. And for combat scenarios, that's exactly what I'd like to do. Sneak around, take out as few people as possible, be absolutely silent.
Yeah,
And
or at least
anyone
have that
I
option.
need to take out. Yeah, as an option. Like if I was going to go into a contested zone, then I would be able to go in silently, take out as few people as possible, and my goal would be to not be shot at.
Yeah, that's how I play Star Wars Outlaws. The majority of my combat is me judo chopping somebody in the back of the neck to drop them, and like I do very little shooting in Star Wars Outlaws unless the mission specifically calls for it. Like I sneak around because I want to be. That's for me. That's a more interesting challenge. I have to get to this objective. I have to plot my way there, and I have to watch for patterns and stuff, and do it. Like that's interesting. And so PJ just made a really good comment, because that's very valid. He says I've ran the executive hangar 12 times since it went preview. It's content that I can just jump into without claiming flying somewhere, etc. Yeah, it's drop in content in the PU, like because they're at the stations, and if you log
So
I mean obviously like if you logged out on a planet, it'd be you'd have to fly to the station, but if you logged out on the station, or you just stay on the station, you can log in and you'll be in a contested zone in a minute. It's like that close to the
cool.
halves.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so like for me, like I hope that they will expand upon them so that there's more to do besides the combat and looting bodies and boxes and stuff. For me, it's been interesting to see the improvement in AI performance compared to what you're used to on the 3 patches. Even on, because you can tell the missions where the AI isn't ramboed up versus the missions where you're getting higher level missions and they're more difficult AI. Like it is noticeable, and I'm getting shot a lot more than I used to. Simply because the servers are performing at 20 plus FPS. I haven't seen it. I run around with our display info on almost all the time just because I want to see the population counts and the server performance and stuff. And I haven't seen it drop below 20. I turn the graph on just for now. I don't have it on all the time, but I do turn it on when I run into areas where the performance is really bad. I'll stop, reverse course, turn the frame graph on, be like, oh, what's going on here? Because there are definitely areas and stations where like you get substantial performance drops. And I'm running PJ. So since the last show, I have gone all red, and I'm on a 7800X3D and 9800X3D, sorry, and a 7900 XTX. So I'm top of the line red as far as I'm aware. With a new, it's the same board that I had, but the AMD equivalent. But I went from 5200 megahertz to 6000 megahertz, but it's CL28 versus CL40. And so like, oh my gosh, my performance is so much better. It's just nuts. But there's different areas where it chugs graphically. Well, chugs compared to everything else. Like I'll be running around in some parts of the stations with 100 plus FPS, and other parts it'll drop down to 40, 50 or so, like normal Star Citizen. So it's been a game changer.
And is
me.
that the CPU being too bad, or is that the GPU being hit too hard?
No, in those areas, the like CPU utilization goes up to like 90%, 90, and it's like
it's weird.
It's not like maxing out at 100, but it's the GPU is dropping down to like 40, and the CPU is really high, and like if the CPU is at 80 plus to 90%, and I'm still doing 40 to 50 frames at 2K with everything on ultra. That you're getting bogged down pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not on the 3Ds, you're getting like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't even have any basis for comparison anymore. But yeah, and I can only imagine for people who play 4K, that's got to be nuts.
I would
I
never.
mean,
No,
well,
no.
4K
Like
you'd be
not
more on the
without.
GPU, but yeah,
Yeah, not without like the DLSS on. So which actually knocks the resolution down to upscale. But yeah,
yeah.
not
Well, and
not
I'm
straight for. You can't play this game straight 4K. I mean, I'm sure somebody can, but like, no, don't do it.
yeah, and I'm running. It's on FSR. And it's because it's Star Citizen's
Is
FSR 2.
FSR? Is it 2?
I can't remember now.
I don't know if it was 2 or 3 that they were like, yeah, we need to circle back around to get that. Whatever
jeez.
the one that's the AMD mirror of whatever they have DLSS in, they hadn't had 3 months ago. So
Yeah,
whatever they
being
need
all
to
red now has been an absolute game changer for me in Star Citizen. Like in the majority of the game, I run around 100 plus FPS, except for like Lorville and areas of certain stations in Pyro, which is just nuts. And like out in space, 200. If I'm in quantum, 300 FPS. It's just stupid. It's like, what are these numbers? It's insane. So the thing I wanted to mention in relation to the first paragraph you just read through is, and this has been my experience, so it's anecdotal. I've been trying to keep a pulse on the community regarding everybody else's experience, because I know, there's people who can't get in. There's people that are seeing, there's been some weird bugs with quantum where like we'll throw you into the planet and throw you in the wrong direction. I haven't seen that once. What I have noticed is that I think the thing throwing you in the wrong direction could be crossing between server boundaries, or might be related to that crossing, and maybe some sort of desync. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But in terms of the things related to server meshing, the things that server meshing, being in a server meshed environment, that changes, I've had no issues. My crash recoveries generally are pretty reasonable in terms of time frame. I've had no issues with crossing server boundaries. For the most part, my QT, like other than little hitches, in terms of like getting going, which is just part of it's a legacy system, old QT. The only issue I've had with QT is, for some reason, sometimes it'll drop me out of QT. And then I just have to start back up and I keep going. And it's like a 2-second delay. I don't know if that's related to server meshing or not, but for the most, I have had no issues with any of this. And my issues have been with missions, and mission locations, or mission related, either NPCs or items not loading in. Those have been the things that have been interrupting my gameplay experience, and that's not new. The playability of the mission refactor in 4.0, the playability of missions has not changed for me, except for when missions go down, and for me it's only been intermittently when that's happened, and then they pop back up. Other than that, like in 3.2 4.3, plenty of times where I'd had things not load in for missions, or they load in broken, or they just don't complete, and so it's not nothing's changed. Like you were talking about the playability bar. Well, they've achieved it. It's not great, but it's the same standard. It's the same low standard. So it's like, and that's the thing that people are, I think that a lot, especially content creators, and I got to give, I'm not going to name names, but there are some people that I got to give some shit to, because they had this expectation that, well, it's 4.0, so it has to be in a really good state, because everybody's watching and it's super important. And it's like, why are you setting yourself up for disappointment? It's
still an alpha. It's still meant to be broken.
Yeah, it's still an alpha. It's still meant to be broken. They just told us up here that they are releasing it because it's run its course in PTU. They're not getting any more. It's not going to get any better in PTU. So they got to kick it out to live for us to you know, to help them find where the issues are. Here we are. There's issues. It's not perfect. I don't know why you set this expectation that 4.0 had to be in a better state than any other patch, because it's not in a better state than any other patch. It's in as good a state as any other patch. You know, for a lot of people it's better, for some people it's not. That's normal for Star Citizen. You know, if you didn't know that it was 4.0 was in a meshed environment, you would just think it's a normal Star Citizen patch for the majority of people. And
Which,
that's the
to
thing.
be fair,
Yeah.
is a really good thing. Like, that's amazing
Yeah,
they were able to get it to parity of playability.
yeah, that's the argument I was making with people. I was like, that's a success, you know, and I get that you wanted this really high bar, you know, this really high standard for 4.0, but that's not was not a realistic expectation. I don't know why you set that for yourself. That's why you're disappointed, because you didn't manage your expectations. You know, you had no reason from anything that CIG was saying to expect what you were expecting. They've been talking about higher player caps and better AI responsiveness. You know, and when servers crash, well, you know, your server pop back up. The AI are more responsive because the servers are running at 25 to 30 FPS. Um, you know, and you're transitioning between servers. We get a much larger game environment with higher player caps. That's what they've been promising, and that's what they achieved. And they said they wanted to deliver on the same standard of playability. Well, we all know what that is. So why are you mad, bro? Sorry, that's my rant.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Um,
Social confused. I hate to tell you this, but Bruce Roberts is always wrong.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
the amount of times he says stuff and is just wrong. Like, to be fair, again, he has a very particular vantage point on the project.
hmm
It is
Oops.
currently mostly adjacent from the entire project. He exists, as he should, at a high level, overseeing the general view of the entire game. And at the same time, the details of how it works out, not the day to day and how it is working out. So he knows what the major features are and the intricacies of how they interplay, not the UI and how it's like going to be written up, not the price points for everything. That is offloaded to particularly different teams and different people working on it. But also, there's an entire company between him and the actual development of
Yeah,
different
unless
features,
there's something
which
very
he's the lead designer.
specific that he wants a very specific way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like that's his job, is he gives high level direction and people present the results and he provides feedback, you know, and they continue on. But, you know, like people think that he's still like looking over people's shoulders and stuff. And he might, you know, do that on occasion. But when you have 1,300 fucking people working for you across, you know, like multiple countries, you know, and all that, it's not possible. What he used to do, you know, 6, 7 years ago is not physically possible. You as a single human being. Now, when he transcends to become some sort of, you know, Skynet, then that'll be different. But until then, you know, it's just not a thing. You know, and yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, like,
um,
and people get all the time like wrapped up in the people. They have to check things through him. Like, that, as far as I know, is not like, that's a pretty common practice when you have a lead designer that the game is their vision.
mhm.
Like, stuff for like a lot more like commercialized projects, there's a lot of compartmentalizing of the project because there isn't a singular like goal for the entire game. There's, let's say, Star Wars, you'll have like a combat designer, you'll have a location designer, and they really won't have to check in a lot with a singular person who's overseeing like the intricacies of it's not like, it's not a vision project, it's a production project. um and every team is built differently, but a lot of like vision projects, so a lot of like stuff that came out of Maxis Studios, so The Sims and things, all checked in with Wheelwright before going out the door. And a lot of those, like anything Kojima did or does, is checked in with him. I guarantee it. So a lot of the vision projects have this singular point of must be checked in with this person, has to be signed off at some point in the process as this single person. That is not unheard of. It's just how these type of projects are done. And this is, for all intents and purposes, Chris's legacy. However this game turns out is how he goes out. So his name's kind of writing on this.
If you remember, if you've ever looked at the jump points where they go through how they concept a ship, and they've got these conversations back and forth between CR and like the Paul Jones and whoever else is working on the concept. You at the beginning of it, like they lay out some design goals. Well, that's basically like the extent of Chris Roberts' involvement, at this point, because there's no way that he could be more involved in everything going on at CIG. He gets high level updates, and people present things when they're at a certain point. But, for the most part, it is, here's the design goals for the game based off what I want. You guys give me feedback on what's reasonable and what's achievable and what else you'd like to do. And if you have any other ideas, he has to be open to those things. And that's why the project has changed, so dramatically over, the past half decade from where it was when it was much smaller. Yeah. What Blizzard said, it's not the early days when he was still involved in the coding. He just simply can't have the time. Yeah, he's a fucking human being.
And I think that's a great, like, epic to differentiate early days with what were like mid-development days that we're in, the like dog days of development that we're in now. So anyone who says early days, throw that at them. Chris is not sitting behind computer coding anymore. It's not early days.
Yep.
Go away. Like I don't know who was saying it. Like somebody was saying like somewhere around this last CitizenCon, it's early days for like this thing. Or like, no, it's not. No, it's not. We've been doing this for 10 years. We are now on the march to our 1.0 release. This is definitely not early days. These are dog days of development, and for a project like this, it's definitely not early days.
Did you finish?
Stop calling it early days. Yes.
At the end here. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about the component boards and the other scrap that you find. I've been finding a lot of those, and I'm like, I don't know what they're used for. I'm hoarding them like crazy. I'm hoping that they're crafting materials for stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, crafting materials. That would make me really more interested in the game.
I apologize. I meant to mute my mic and I didn't hit the button.
Oh. Well,
I went for a run this afternoon and it was cold, and so now my chest is all dry. This next part is the really interesting part, and this is like very much a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out. And it's because I agree with the idea. I like the idea. I just want to see how CIG executes it, because this will be Naz's turn to go on a rant. 2025, a focus on playability. As we jump into the new year, our primary focus across Star Citizen teams is clear: improving playability. Our drive for playability surrounds three critical areas: performance, stability, and content. We understand that the live environment must be far more reliable and consistent, and we are determined to deliver on this. And this is following on what Richard Tyrer said at CitizenCon, where they are at 1.0, there will be a new quality bar, and all that stuff. Well, you don't just turn that on like a light switch when 1.0 goes live, and for everything subsequent, you work your way up to it. And so this is them saying, hey, we are beginning that phase of working our way up to that 1.0 standard that we're going to be hitting, that we intend to maintain at 1.0 and beyond, whenever that is. The sentiment many have shared, and one we wholeheartedly agree with, is that if the current game, as it stands today, ran smoothly with fewer obstacles and bugs, it would provide an unparalleled experience. Yeah, I mean, even
Which we've been saying for like the past 5 years.
for a while.
Like,
In
honestly, if you took 3.0, well, like mid 3.0 patches, and just made it work flawlessly, no sci-fi game would be able to touch its experience, which is kind of rare for sci-fi games. Like, either you have like ship battles or FPSs or something like that, but Star Citizen has, and for the foreseeable future still has, a unique experience. Even with Eve and Elite being relatively close by, they all offer a unparalleled, unique experience, and it's great. They seem to
yeah,
like
that's
do what
the
they've been saying.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like and my gameplay now versus a few years ago. I have far more gameplay sessions that are run well and things go well than I did, a couple of years ago, where things that were session ending or big inconveniences that doesn't happen as often for me now. It still happens, but it's definitely gotten a lot better. But like, it still happens regularly enough where it's noticeable, and it makes there are. I will sometimes go a couple weeks at a time without playing Star Citizen because I had such a bad experience. A couple play sessions in a row, I'm like, I'm gonna take a little break, you know,
Yeah.
for my own sanity. But when it works well, which is more often than not for me, my even with what we've got, right now, and as unfinished as it is, it's still an experience I can't get anywhere else, and so that's why I keep coming back. My friends don't fall out of ship randomly in QT anymore. I experienced that for the first time in a while the other day, and that's why I quit my session, because I was like, nope, I'm gonna take the hint. It was getting late anyway, but I was trying to make my way back to Pyro because I got jumped in Pyro, and which is fine. I'm prepared for it. I was playing for it, um, except for I made the mistake of not updating my regen point to checkmate, which is the station I had launched off from. So I regen back in Loreville, and I had to go all the way back. And so I took the Intrepid, and I was quantuming to the Pyro Gateway, and I got out of the cockpit because I had never really spent much time looking at the interior. And as soon as I went through the door going into the hab area, whoop, out of the ship I went. It wasn't even due to a turret. And so I was like, oh, wow, that hasn't happened in a while. I'm guessing I'm going to call it a night. But, for the most part, I have really good experiences. It's pretty dang good. But, it still has a long way to go because I have that, that alpha tester early access mindset, and I'm okay with it. But that's not something you can market to the majority of gamers who would be interested in what Star Citizen is. So, over the years, we have experimented with different approaches to improve quality of life and tackling tech debt. However, the ongoing challenge has been balancing these efforts alongside the introduction of new features and technology, because that's always the issue. When they update gameplay or add additional gameplay or update or add new systems, it always breaks things. And it causes instability until, it gets out to the live environment and we test it and they iterate on it for a bit. And then finally it starts working. But it makes for a very tumultuous process and not the best quality of life, especially if it is like your chosen gameplay that's being impacted. Too often, testing new features within the same pipeline as content has led to unintended ripple effects, creating instability, hindering performance, and impacting overall gameplay. In some cases, new features that are not fully mature have delayed the release of content or caused blockers that impact our progress. This has prompted us to reevaluate our approach to feature and content rollout, focusing on steps we can take to bring the game to a better state while maintaining steady delivery. And now it's going to take
Finally.
Yeah, it won, and that's why we're doing this sequence, because this next part is your bag, because Naz has been harping on this for longer than we've been doing the podcast. So I'm gonna let you continue. I'm gonna go
Oh
get more
boy,
water. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna go read the couple paragraphs, then I'll get to ranting. All right. To achieve our goal, we are making fundamental changes, decoupling feature development from content creation, and general fixes. This means new features will no longer hold up content delivery or risk destabilizing the live environment. This approach will leverage the tech preview channel, which was reserved for major new pieces of technology like the replication layer and server meshing, but now will extend to feature or gameplay feature testing too. When a new feature is deemed complex, which that's a bit murky, we'll get back to that, or risky enough to require focused testing, we'll introduce a separate experimental PTU, ePTU, channel dedicated to that feature. Testing in this isolated channel will allow us to refine and stabilize the feature without impacting content or broader development work. Only once the feature is fully greenlit will it integrate into the standard Evo PTU live pipeline. So the first time I read this, I got way more excited than the second time I read this, which was just a minute ago. I thought we were decoupling all of development into this parallel version, but no, we're still using the normal Evo PTU live. I thought they were actually full sail doing the always testing environment parallel with the always live environment, and then just only graduating each feature as it gets done. They're not doing that. I was really hoping they would, but this is a nice halfway point they're doing. So, like I said, the murky deemed too complex or risky, that is the murkiest. They just, like I said, I was hoping they'd do an always testing and an always live, and just graduate features as they get done. But we're still gonna do the Evo PT live, and then when features have this complexity, I couldn't tell you which features do and don't. Like crafting, that would, assumably, that's a very complex base building, sure. What are like atmospheric flight? Is that a complex one? Is the new QT system too complex? So I don't like the deemed too complex or risky, just because it's so murky. Why not have just all features exist in this separate parallel universe to get as much testing as you want done on it? Transit refactor, yeah, that's a good one. That's
Murky, murky. Is this
Fine,
your
I'm
first
sorry.
day?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I knew I was forgetting something. Nebulous. I'm so sorry. God dang it.
It's like 2 years of tradition. No, more than
I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so
Gone down the.
sorry.
Hey, the drift.
It's-
07, good to see you.
But yeah, like, why not just run this parallel? Why not take the Evo PTU and then shift it into its own lane instead of the American language and having a sometimes vowel in there? Like, I don't like it, but I like the halfway step. I like that it's finally a parallelization of development, that we will, like, they have this unfortunately optional track. How they actually implement this is going to be key. The more stuff gets into this second track, the better. And I hope they use, like, if they use it correctly, every PTU cycle we will have a Nebulous Imperium games. Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully every PTU we will have this second track being used. So the patch cycle will never be late. It will always be absolutely on time. Everything will just be shoved into the ePTU and get done when it gets done. The
I
problem
think-
with that historically is then they got nothing done
I think
and they just
it's
kept
the
working on it.
the thing is the decoupling content from features, so that way, they let's say it's 4.1, and during the 4.1 testing cycle, they are testing or using or they're using this tech preview type thing to test. Let's say it's the new QT, the new quantum travel experience, but they also have a bunch of content planned for 4.1. With new missions, new locations, new creatures, that sort of stuff, like things that aren't features, but it's just content, that they're adding
I
to
would
the game.
love if it was that. That is what I was been hoping that it
Well,
was when I
that's what I
glanced
think
over
it is, because we'll have the PTU,
But they
and
said only new features deemed complex or risky are getting into this second track.
yeah, well, that's the
So
part
some
that's nebulous,
features,
is
some
what things,
features aren't as complex and will stick to the Evo PT Live.
but it's still features versus content, and so that way they're not holding up content delivery
Right.
with trying to get this patch out the door. They can just drop the patch. Hey, this feature isn't ready.
Like I said, hopefully
We will
every
add it
PTU
in. Yeah,
will have
they'll
this
add it
second
in
track.
a 4.1.1.
Right. Yeah.
That's the way I understand it. And I think
Yeah, I hope more patches go like not as rough as it was, but the cadence of the 324, 323, because it was a lot of, well, we're done with everything else, so just kick it, hold the stuff back, and keep working on it.
Mhm.
Well, we're done with this stuff, kick it, and we'll keep working on it. And
Yeah,
I really liked that cadence, even though it was a bit rough technically. Like, I really liked how it was just like, hey, stuff's done, kick it.
I think
That's
it's
perfect.
the drain on QA and platform, the workload on them to keep
Oh, yeah,
adding,
that was
kicking out new.
horrendous.
Well, I mean, if you did it where it's like, you're kicking out new patches like every couple weeks, every month or so, versus the quarterly thing. I think the quarterly, even that cadence, for is it is a pretty big ask, and I think by separating feature development from that will make that cadence a bit more easy on QA and platform
Do you
to
know
do.
if each of the teams have? I think they do. Do you know if each of the teams have onboard QA, or are the QA teams still their own teams?
No, so there's QA for like the overall patch
Mm-hmm.
when they're compiling and testing everything together, but then
Right.
there's dedicated QA, but we have no idea of knowing which teams have their own QA,
Because
or is
like
it
if
like
creature
this
or
collection of teams that have similar work? Do they share 3 QA together, or and so
I'd
that is
love an
also
ISC on
nebulous.
that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'd love because like if creature or character content had QA embedded, like they made a new shirt or a new dress or whatever, um, their embed QA could like validate, yep, shove it, and just be added to the patch instead of like having to like put in a ticket, get QA to look at it. Okay, these like set of things because that slows down a lot of the like biggest problem that we've had for a while, um, on one of the halves of the problem, which is getting stuff checked in.
Hmm.
We've had a lot of slowdown with getting content, clothing, objects, stuff like that checked in to a patch. The other side is only in the 324 patch, I believe it was. They refactored the shop layout to now it's now Dataforge driven, and everyone can just go in and build a shop. So we haven't had a really good port to give the objects to the players. I'm really hoping that really does change this next year with now furniture being a thing and a lot of the objects crafting coming in very soon. Um, that like there is so much content that not only has been done for Squadron that we've seen. We know of like 6-year-old concept art of characters and clothing and things that we've seen the concept art, and I don't remember where it was, but I've recently seen like there's a lot of clothing that's ready for the game and just not in for no good reason. Well, I'm sure they have good reason, but like there's a lot of content, furniture and things. There's countless shops and lore companies that exist throughout Stanton and the universe that have a lot of stuff just easy like object what's it called prop stuff. And we've had this I want to
There's
say problem,
so
that's not
much
problem, but the backlog.
in terms
there we go,
of
backlog of
yeah,
stuff.
backlog of props that should be interactable.
Yeah.
Where things that are static props in the game that should be interactable. So the Blizzrat, there's 2 lives because these are 2 separate patches, 2 separate content patches. Think of this one as 4.1 right here, and this one is 4.2. And so this is content going through its normal path, content going through its normal path, and this is the EPTU testing out features.
This is 2 quarters.
And delivering them, to live when they're ready. So
This is 2 quarters right here.
Mm-hmm. So like if say this EPTU starts right here for the new QTE, well, it's not ready for when this live goes, ready. And so maybe they launch it into live here with 4.1.1. And maybe there's a separate EPTU that's doing the atmospheric flight, the control surfaces. Okay, well, it doesn't make it for this live, and it's not ready for this patch either. But then they drop it in 4.1.2, right here. They don't wait for it to. They don't just hold on to it until this patch. This live patch is already out, and it's been getting tested within that branch. So as soon as it's ready, they drop it to live. Even though there's new content being tested through here, they don't wait for this patch and then just tie it into that patch. Does that make sense?
There is a tech they have available now. That's not the word that this is more available now than it has been in the past, this entire system, because we're pretty much done with foundational tech. So a lot fewer things are going to come in needing the next patch of tech. So server meshing's now in. Nothing is going to be held back because it requires X foundational tech. We're done with that. It's all in now. There may be a couple stragglers that we're waiting on.
If you go to
we don't really know what foundational is.
Yeah, the 1.0 roadmap is more refactors of old systems than it is introducing new foundational tech that fundamentally changes
Foundation's
the game.
laid. Now we're building the framework. Once the framework is done, nothing stands in the way of content. And it's going to be fast over this next year. Once they get all the refactors done, we're going to be getting major content patches.
I'm hoping that since
26.
the mission service refactor is in, that they can finish updating legacy
really
missions and the ones that, if you remember on the progress tracker, they had the mining missions that we never got, and a few other missions around the progress tracker that they prototyped and worked on, but they never added.
Hacking missions.
Northrend is listening. Yeah.
Man, I miss hacking. I poured so much energy into the development of hacking, and then it just fades away.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that scares me about this whole next year is focus on playability. Every time they said focus on playability, no core features came in over those. They've done this in 2 different years, and it's always they kick all the big features down the road because they'll upset playability. So I'm really worried about this next year, a focus on playability, because I really do want some of the core features because it's still alpha. We're still waiting. So me and Tree were talking before.
We summoned North End Trooper. you said hacking, and he magically appeared. You rubbed his little genie's bottle.
Okay, go with Beetlejuice, but okay.
Yeah.
Me and Tree were talking before the show. I haven't played 4.0 at all because it's not the game I want to play, and I'm done playing the game I don't want to play because Star Citizen will be the game I want to play. just nothing that I want to play is in yet. They're like the Hitman kind of infiltration's not in. The Hitman style kind of infiltration where you can just scout around, do the takeouts, and be silent. It's always run and gun or nothing. There isn't the like integrated economy. There's mining or salvage or cargo. It's not really well integrated yet. There's very little social NPC, like player versus NPC social experiences. There's not a lot of storytelling. Like I've done the Kovalex in investigation enough times. There like that level of storytelling is nowhere to be found right now. And a lot of the building and crafting stuff's way not in. So a lot of the stuff I'm waiting on is just not there. And so when they say focus on playability, it scares me that they're not gonna work on the stuff that I'm still waiting on and have been waiting on for freaking 10 years.
Yeah.
So
It-
I'm very trepidly going into 2025.
Yeah, that's why like I said, that this whole like, it'll be interesting to see how they execute on this, because they still have to develop these features, and they still have to test them, and they still have to get them out, and it's like, because this is they're essentially taking what they were doing in Arena Commander for engineering and oh gosh, what else did they test in Arena Commander? Having a stroke, but anyway,
Yep.
they tested engineering and Arena
Experimental
Commander.
modes.
Yeah,
What's the other
and so
experimental
they're the master modes. They're essentially doing that, but for an EPTU. So you're not just testing it out in the Arena Commander. You're testing it in a faux live environment. There's no progression there, but you're able to test the gameplay in a PU style environment. And so they're leveling that up.
again,
And so,
goes
but
back
that's the
on
thing is,
the whole.
yeah, is
which
it
goes
going to
back
get
on the
enough
whole-
testing? Is it going to actually be ready for live? Are they going to be able to actually make the amount of progress they want to do, or they want to get on those features in this new model? And so we shall see.
It also is weird after they just like, yeah, we're still committed to Ring Commander being a testbed. And they're like, yeah, we're not doing Ring Commander's testbed. We're gonna do this EPTU thing to do the same stuff.
Yeah,
They keep going back and forth, so it's we just come back around again.
yeah. I think in theory it's a good idea, and in theory it should work well. And it's one of those things where the first couple things that they do it with, it's not going to work well. And they'll learn some lessons and they'll get better. And people like, see, this is a dumb idea. It didn't work out. You guys are dumb. CIG sucks. And it'll be like, well, no, they're iterating. That's what you do with with these processes. You're iterating in order to get better. Expecting them to get it right on the first go round is not a realistic expectation. Don't be a jackass. But that'll be the thing is, will they be able to hit the ground running and make the strides that they need to make in order to get features into the game and into our hands? Great, it's cool, more content, but and the experience of Star Citizen is good, but like for you as an example, and me as well to an extent, like we've played everything. And so giving me new missions doing the same gameplay, okay.
Even at like
give
better
it a
frame
shot.
rates, it's just kind of
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. And it like, more mercenary missions. Well, okay, cool. I'll give them a shot, but I want my rescue missions, damn it. And so it's not so much like, okay, cool, you're going to give me more locations to go visit, and that's fine and dandy. But unless you are going to be able to get out medical gameplay, and for you, it's, your crafting and such, if you can't get those things out and working, it doesn't, it doesn't, there's a large segment of the community that isn't going to have any more or any more or much more incentive to play than they did before.
It just says isn't them saying focus on playability, basically saying the thing's beta. I thought that developers focused on stability and playability in the beta phase of the game. So we have always, since the well, even the Hangar module freaking existed, have been in this alpha quasi beta state. It has been painful and weird the entire time because they keep going back of, hey, it's alpha, we'll just break everything, to, hey, we want to focus on playability, but everyone going, well, isn't that beta? And then they'll go back to saying, actually, we'll
Beta
refine
is
everything
bug
in beta.
polishing, but beta is bug polishing when you have all features in.
Right, which is what Blizzard said.
Which we don't, which we don't have. So
there is, in a normal development, there is normally times when they'll like say, hey, we can't even like test the features we need because performance is so bad, and so they'll do a round of bug fixes and focus on that. Alpha Quest. So it's not unheard of that they'll do these like sprints of trying to get the performance up, but the final push is it's not bringing it to 90, it's bringing it to 100, and that last 10% takes 90% of the effort, or 80% of the effort. It's 80-20. So it is the final push of playability is that beta phase, but within like, and Star Citizen's awfully weird as a game. It's been played in a 10-year long alpha so far. So
yeah, I don't think we're going to get
the rules don't matter.
I don't think we're going to get all the features in and then a couple of patches of beta polish or something like that, because that would be a 5.0 to 1.0. We're going straight from 4 series to 1 series. And so I think that, this is the initial steps on getting up to, they are doing a beta while they're adding in more features. That said, I do think that like the patch, and you have to remember what Richard Tyrer said, at 1.0, we're committing to, the new bar of stability and playability and, quality, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't necessarily mean that before that, we're going to have that same level of those adjectives for what we have before 1.0. It just means that at 1.0 and from 1.0 beyond is when they will hit that bar. So,
Yep.
I could see the 1.0 patch taking a while to get out because they insist on us beating it to death before it goes to a wide release and goes 1.0 goes live. But I don't think they're going to say, okay, now this is 5.0, all our features are in, and 5.0 is beta, and we're going to do a 5.1, because that's the thing, is like there wouldn't be any changes. They would just be, bug fix, crash fix, bug fix, crash fix, performance enhancement.
I imagine when we get close to 1.0, the company would again do a temporary split with people that are focused on, like, small teams that are focused on future features, and the majority of teams are focused on hardening the 1.0 experience.
Yeah, kind of like what they're doing for Squadron.
Because not all the teams are good for sitting around and working on these tiny little things and tweaks here and there and getting out all these bugs. Like concept art teams and system designers, the graphics team, a lot of them are like core tech. They're like, once their stuff's done, it's done. Can't really keep working on it. So they'll probably be like pushed aside into a 1.1 team or teams and let a lot of the teams work on the
polishing,
bug fixing, polishing.
Yep.
While the other teams like keep working on their stuff, like more ships, more concept art, locations, stuff like that. Like location team's gonna be real bored.
Yeah.
Because like they should finish up their work pretty quickly.
I'll keep reading, but this is the first time I've noticed this. It says no step right here on the thruster, the VTOL thruster for the Valkyrie. Well, if you climb up on top of a helicopter, there are lots of bits and pieces on the engine, where the engine and the transmission and all that are, that say no step, because you can't step on that paneling because it's not reinforced and meant to bear weight. And just yesterday, I was up on top of a helicopter a lot, and there's all these little things that I climb over, and you can't step here, but you can step here, and it says no step, and I'm like, oh, it's just like my Black Hawk. That makes me happy. I love my Valkyrie even more that it has that little detail. Someone thought to put that there, that there might be a maintenance tech who climbed up on a ladder to get up on the roof, or who climbed up on top of the thruster, and you can't step here, but you can step up here or over here or over on the side
Now,
here.
what they need to do in the resource network and everything, they need to what if you step on it for that thruster to receive damage.
Yep. Yeah. So this means we'll have more stability and predictability in our ongoing game releases, as the main development stream will not be disrupted by untested features still being worked on. Now that's still it's okay. It's accurate to say that it should be more stable and more predictable. I wouldn't have said we will have. It says this means we will have more stability and predictability. That almost feels like a bit of a promise, and I don't know if that's a good idea, because in theory it should.
Wow.
And these features will get tested, but they won't get tested in a live environment with high concurrency, and it won't get tested in a way where players don't play in PTU the same way they play in live. They already mentioned this in some of the fixes and the follow-on statements on 4.0, talking about how, hey, this didn't happen in PTU in ePTU for 4.0, and so we didn't. This didn't start occurring. We didn't have a fix for it. Now we're working on it because you guys are doing this in live, and you weren't doing it in PTU, so it didn't break. They've already talked about that.
More stability and more predictability are not quantifiable.
It's not quantifiable, and it's one of those things where,
especially on the players facing side.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to this and say no. He said more.
Yeah,
and
it's
not quantifiable, and so some
player.
people will be some people will be like, well, it's been less stable from. Okay, well, that's anecdote, buddy. And
absolutely.
Your anecdotal experience isn't the rule, and you don't have the data to back it up that CIG has, but people won't see that, and so they'll take this statement to task, out of context.
Yep.
But in theory, it should be better, and I hope it is. Instead, the team can focus on improving stability, performance, and quality of life. Alongside this playability initiative, we're also tying together our content releases so they feel more connected to the world. So, like if you remember, every time they come out with a patch, they've got the patch trailer, in order to sort of try and tie things together. Well, they're going to, because they, 1.0 is going to have more narrative, and all that. They're going to, it's not going to all drop with 1.0. They're going to be building this narrative into the universe as they work their way towards 1.0. This is what they're talking about. This means each new content drop will be more focused and drive an overall narrative forward, similar to our Overdrive and Save Stanton events. This content will then unlock new and powerful rewards, including ships, armors, and weapons that you can play to earn. And this statement right here is probably one of the few things that made Salty Mike happy, because this is what he's been asking for ages. He wants to earn things in game, wants to have a reason to play the game instead of just make UEC number go up, and buy more ships, earnable rewards. And so this to me, especially with it being narratively driven, is great. But
I hope so.
We shall see.
Yeah.
I get where they're going with it.
Feel very good about that. I don't, because I don't know. It feels weird. It feels like they're gonna try and weirdly tie it together, because they can't make an entire patch follow a narrative, and they're not going to be adding narrative because that's the 1.0 thing.
Well,
it's just going to be, and like you said, I watched all the trailers, and they're sort of kind of follow a narrative, but not really. And I also have been
I think we're going to
woefully
see
recently
more events and more things
underamused
going
with
on
the
in
events.
game that tie to missions. The for a while they've been very disconnected,
Mhm.
and so I think there's going to be a bit more of a narrative connection. But they have to work their way up to the whole narrative setting for 1.0. They can't just drop it all at once. So I think we're going to be getting these narratives like they talked about for location specific narratives and stuff. I think we're going to start getting those, and those will be the themes of the patch.
As long as they're not just, hey, there are more bad guys doing bad stuff. Go shoot
Yeah.
them, or go climb into another Starfarer and go open the boxes again.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm really done with playing the game that I've played for the last over 5 years, because the stuff that they've added some good stuff. The Hull C is a notable exception of economy stuff that they actually added. Sure, refueling is in. Nobody uses refueling. Salvage is in. Sure, but it's notably broken because, like they said, they cut short the development time because they're waiting for Maelstrom. But like refining gameplay, mining's been in for a really long time now, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Hmm.
And so we have all these like inklings of all these different things, but tons of combat. And it's just kind of, sure, tell me when you actually decide to build out the game that you said you were going to build. This locations, living universe that is completely integrated with each other, and that I don't freaking have to shoot everything I see. I did not buy and continuously do not play or want to play Star Citizen to play Destiny. If I wanted to go shoot a console to open a door, I'd play Destiny. I don't. I want to hack it.
Yep. No, I agree with that because the shooting everything, make everything go boom, because that's the thing is the cargo loops, the mining loops, it's just for UEC still. And so
And how many like cargo things have they put in since the Hull C even, where it's been go shoot to get cargo? What? Like even what was the last event they did where it was absolutely go shoot to get cargo? Was it just Blockade Runner? I
yeah,
don't know. I think no. Save Stanton had it. Save Stanton had like
yeah,
they
Safe
stole
Stand has
cargo.
it
Go
too.
shoot them to go get it. Not go disable their ship to go get it. Not peaceably like apprehend or whatever. It was go shoot to go do economy stuff. Like no, screw off with that.
Or
I don't know.
or like the the feature that one of the features that I want the most, radar and scanning, because it's holistic and it's FPS and ship based. Hey, they stole the cargo. We need to go track them down. Radar and scanning. Like someone stole the cargo, you need to go track them down. Or the ship was lost. It crashed. You need to go track it down.
Less pew pew, more anything else.
Yeah,
More
yeah,
sneaking, more box moving, more just traversing, more healing.
mm-hmm.
Just literally, as long as it's just not pew pewing, literally anything else. Preparing, inventory management, looking at your ship, repairing
My
somebody else's ship,
character's
repairing a building.
shoulder is so jacked from throwing all these grenades all the time.
Should get a grenade launcher. Makes chucking grenades way easier.
Mm-hmm.
They also bounce back, but yeah, it's fine.
This content will
Yeah,
then
respawn
unlock
was
new
always
and
the plan.
powerful rewards, oh Jesus Christ, including ships, armors, and weapons that you can play to earn. We are taking this approach to deliver more things to do more often than we have in the past, where we have frequently been held hostage by tech or feature work that has taken longer than anticipated. That is an extremely true statement. That is an extremely true statement, and that's why I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic about this. But this is one of those things where I'm going to need to see it to believe it. And
Absolutely.
obviously I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I believe in iteration. But I also want to hear about, if you're iterating, I want to hear about the lessons learned and what you're doing in terms of that iteration. That's
Yeah, I hope we get a nice
the process part that I want to know about.
Yeah, I hope we get a couple nice postmortems on 324 and 40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Especially
it's not a service-related
especially
injury.
324. I know 40 is going to have a really nice juicy postmortem, but I really want to hear the last two, the 323, 324 branches.
Yeah,
because
we didn't get a single
postmortem.
postmortem for all of last year, and all of that stuff built up to 4.0. So I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
like a cumulative one, like the road to
yeah, that makes
4.0, would be,
Postmortem, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Our
that'd be
objective
cool.
is to make Star Citizen more stable, more performant, and more fun this coming year. I
That makes me
will
uneasy.
play
That makes me so uneasy.
See, and I will play the game regardless because they're going to be adding the things that make Star Citizen the same experience as Squadron. Like how we interact with the game. Because I'm looking forward to playing the game where all the legacy things that we have are gone, and the ones that we are going to have going forward are in. I want that quantum travel experience. I want radar and scanning. I want the rest of EVA. I want the control surfaces. The way that we play the game for those things. Maelstrom engineering, all of that is what makes the how you interact with the game what they want for the game going forward, not legacy. That brings it up to parity with what Squadron is supposed to have. After that, it's all content, and that's when I'm like, okay, well, give me the content. Because I can only enjoy the same old thing, but with the updated features for so long.
Blizzard's not wrong. Only
Yeah,
in
yeah.
SC would the promise of performance and playability make people nervous. Yeah. No, every
Yeah.
time a game says focus on playability, like whether it's Minecraft, Star Citizen, anytime they say that, I get nervous. It's definitely because Minecraft has done that. They took almost an entire year or something and did almost nothing. And like post that point, every update has made me more upset at Minecraft. So I basically don't care anymore about Mojang updates.
Socially confused. My character probably has PTSD from failing to find someone alive so many times on investigation missions and just finding bodies. Because that's
Do they make like? Is it possible to find someone alive? I've never found someone alive.
Always dead. Always dead.
Yeah,
They're always dead.
I didn't know they had.
And oftentimes you have to find like 5 other dead people first before you find the one you're looking for. Like I want to find some people that I can rescue instead of just send a letter to their dearly beloved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice addition to those, giving you like a dossier of the character, and you instead of just going up and like hold F search, you actually like hold F and you open your Moby Glass and like had a picture of them, and you like had to compare like the face to the face you see on Moby. That'd be a nice like subtle addition to that. They're not going to do that because that's way too in depth and engaging.
If the AI can revive each other, let me revive some goddamn NPCs, because that's one of those missions. They were working on it. They prototyped it.
But if they died, why didn't they just
it.
respawn? Respawn was always the plan.
Nazeris, I swear to God, that's like worse than the whole Hercules M2 is a dropship thing for me. So before Naz reads this bit, I want to play this video. No, this one. The last one, the long one, and I've got that one.
It's long just because there's more spaces. Go ahead.
So this is from the Game Award or the Game Awards a couple weeks ago. Let's make this big. And so this is Sven Vinke. He's from Larian, which is Baldur's Gate 3, like one of the best games ever. Like an absolutely brilliant execution. And Larian is, just like can't do any wrong in my eyes. But down here, the comment, shots fired. Yeah, shots across the bow of the entire corporate gaming industry. But you'll see why. And then when we read this, after watching the Game Awards and then seeing Chris Roberts' next couple statements, you're like, oh yeah, he watched it too.
Please welcome last year's winner from Larian, Sven Vinke.
I realize you guys have been sitting here for over 3 hours, but I still have some time credits from last year to cash in. So it turns out that not only will I be the one who will know as first which game wins tonight, but I actually also know which game is going to win next year, the year after, and the year after. Now, how do I know this? Well, an oracle told me. She said, change is coming. It's a modern oracle, so they made me sign an NDA, but I trust all of you. I know you can keep a secret, you will never leak it. The oracle told me that the game of the year 2025 was going to be made by a studio who found the formula to make it up here on stage. It's stupidly simple, but somehow it keeps on getting lost. Studio made their game because they wanted to make a game that they wanted to play themselves. They created it because it hadn't been created before. They didn't make it to increase market share. They didn't make it to serve as a brand. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. And furthermore, the people in charge forbade them from cramming the game with anything whose only purpose was to increase revenue and didn't serve the game design. They didn't treat their developers like numbers on a spreadsheet. They didn't treat their players as users to exploit. And they didn't make decisions they knew were short-sighted and function of a bonus or politics. They knew that if you put the game and the team first, the revenue will follow. They were driven by idealism and wanted players to have fun. And they realized that if the developers didn't have fun, nobody was going to have any fun. They understood the value of respect, that if they treated their developers and players well, those same developers and players would forgive them when things didn't go as planned. But above all, they cared about their game because they loved games. It's really that simple, said the oracle. Winning Game of the Year turned out to be a life-changing event for us. It was an amazing thing. To those who will win Game of the Year 2024, you have no idea what's waiting for you. It's an incredible honor, and you're in for a heck of a ride. Now remember, should you be told to wrap it up for tonight, you can always come back next year and chat for 3 minutes, okay? So, now, to pay tribute to the nominees for Game of the Year, once again, Lorna Balfe and the TGA Orchestra.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That
Yep.
was amazing. And
Very powerful.
boy, howdy.
And I know people will make hay about, well, CIG isn't about that because CIG laid some people off, and it's like, CIG is a company. They did have to do restructuring. Some people didn't want to relocate. Some people they felt that they didn't want to keep, and that is part of running a
Not
company.
pulling
And those
punches
are
was the theme of the Game Awards and was it the Oscars or Grammys or something.
yeah, but that's like when you read this, you can't not see the parallels, and you can't not see like CIG isn't like they're building a game that they want to play, and you see that in ISC every week. You know, you see that in the developers and stuff. You see that in what CR says and what Richard Tyrer says. And they make mistakes. And like for the most part, I think CIG and Star Citizen embodies a lot of what that is. Even though CIG has gotten big, are they
AAA
perfect? No,
studios
no,
are-
no, absolutely not. But
AAA studios are not about to have their lunch money nicked. That's not going to happen. They are really good at making ATMs, and people play them and people buy them. They're unfortunately, fortunately, however you feel about it, AAA studios and their microtransaction soil pits that they make, whether it's a good game or not, will be around and will continue to be around. Even PlayStation has re-upped twice this year their dedication to live service games. Not going away. They're fine. They're going to sit on their pile of money like Scrooge McDuck and just which is actually a hilarious anecdote because like Scrooge McDuck actually had an entire episode based on how you should actually spend your money and not hoard it. It's fine. But
the other thing is it was a bubble. It's not like the bubble went up and then suddenly they're going to drop way back down below the baseline. No, the bubble's going to burst and it's going to return back to a normal level.
I don't think it will. I don't think it's growing. I think it is a stable bubble. because that's like it's
Well, no, I mean, like
It's
in
what people
that
wanna
they
do.
haven't made the money that they did before, and so they're laying off all these people. That's the bubble. The company's got too big, and now they're not making the same revenues that they were, a couple years ago, and so people are getting laid off because it was a bubble. But it's not going
oh
to
okay, the hiring thing,
yeah,
not the
yeah. The,
actual,
the
like,
games
what they're
industry isn't
churning out
going
of
to
these games.
collapse and have like a giant,
No,
massive reset or
No.
anything. But
no. But I do predict. Well, no, I have seen that as much as people would like to say indies are dead, it's all AAA studios or AAA studios are dying. Look at all these layoffs and things. Neither of them are dying. Neither of them are going anywhere. We will continue this ebb and flow of indies and AAAs, and people will find games that they will love for the rest of their life on both camps. There's like both camps have freaking awesome games. StarCraft 2 is still alive. That was a AAA big studio game. That was Blizzard. Little Big Planet, my favorite growing up game. It came quite late for a growing up game, but like that's constantly the game that I will always hold a loving heart to. Was made by an indie studio owned by Sony. So technically not an indie studio. People love No Man's Sky. People love Minecraft. People love Fortnite. Like, there will always be games that people fall in love with for the rest of their life in both AAAs and indies. And people love making games. And people will find any way possible to make the games they want to make, whether that be in a big studio, starting their own studio, or finding a couple friends to build this game with and creating a small studio. No camp is getting rid of, no camp is shrinking dramatically, no camp is going away. They're all staying. They're all going to do their jobs because they love doing their jobs. And the freaking crap the players put them through is disgusting, but they'll continue to put up with it because they love building games. And this has gone on for years, and the ebb and flow will continue. Only in the game industry.
all right, your turn.
All right, what are we doing? Whole career? Is that where I'm starting?
Yep.
Valkyrie and the Hornet. All right. My whole career, I have created the games I've wanted to play. Sounds familiar. As a gamer, but because I could see a game in my mind that didn't exist. I felt if I did it, it would be amazing, and I not getting choked up at all, and I could see the steps needed to make it a reality. I have been fortunate that the games that I want to play. I have been fortunate that the game that I want to play, a lot of other people also want to play. Also wants to play too. But I have rarely met a publishing executive that has the ability to see the possibilities in that kind of vision. And that's actually a really good way of wording it. Had the ability to see the possibility. Because like executives for all of their problems, they do have a job, and some of them actually do pretty good. There are like a couple publishing companies that actually do really good, but there are some things they can't do. They can't fund Star Citizen and games like Star Citizen. Publishers could not take on something like Death Stranding. It is not within their wheelhouse of their job because they require such an artistic approach to their vision. You just can't ask an executive or a publishing company to take on that. Very few publishing companies, Hood Horse comes to mind, that really just throw a couple of, throw a bag of money at a small developer and say, go ham. And if you fail, we're just going to be out that. Sony tries to do that, and then they end up with stuff like Little Big Planet 3 and the crap they put Helldivers through. So,
Oh man,
there's some goods and bads. But there are some things that, like I said, publishers can't do. And I think this, how they worded that, how Chris worded that is actually really good because some of them are not just money grab. They actually do want to, like Hood Horse really does want to help fund people's dreams. And that sounds like a tagline, but there are some dreams they cannot take the financial responsibilities for, and that's when you have these interesting, and most of them do not end up like Star Citizen. Most of them die on the cutting room floor, where they were able to find their home, able to find their play base, and actually well overfund their project. Remember, we were supposed to have a really different game before. They're like, hey, yeah, we have way more millions than we know what to do with. Wait, physical planets going that way now, and now we have the game.
Going that way now.
Because it was way overfunded, and so Chris is like, wait, I can build the game, not just my next game.
A game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like how that's worded, that it was beyond their ability to see the possibilities. I like that. All right. They can only see a known quantity, a sequel, a bet on an existing IP. This is why I chose crowdfunding for Star Citizen rather than pursuing a developer deal or development deal with a big publisher. And it is why I feel incredibly lucky and privileged to be able to develop Star Citizen and Squadron 42 with all of your continued support year after year, as it allows me and every developer at CIG to focus on just making the game we and you all want to play. Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are two games that would never have been greenlit by any of the big publishers. They are both too ambitious and in a genre that, up until recently, viewed as niche. They require patience. Wait for that. They require patience and investment that I doubt any publisher would have the stomach for. And yet, here we are. Thanks to all of you.
I think it's pretty powerful stuff.
It's like, they didn't invite me to the Game Awards. I'm going to do it here. Cracks.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's along the same lines, and, like, I've been a pretty vocal critic of CIG's marketing practices, but at the same time, if CIG was out to make money, they wouldn't be making Star Citizen, and they certainly wouldn't be making it the way that they do it.
I specifically didn't bring up Starfield for a very good reason, because Starfield is just a bad egg, and it should not be taken any of the ways gamers are looking at Starfield is bad, and they should not be doing it. Because it was a leap. It was an entirely new genre for them. They have some pretty core problems with their entire company right now. And I only know this because I followed Starfield from announcement to release. They are really good at making a world to just kind of fiddle with, to go and, like I said, like I've said in the past, I found the most fun out of Starfield when I added a mod to skip the main story and just exist and do all the side quests. Amazing world they put together where you can just get lost in endless side quests. Beautiful world. There's a lot of jank in all these weird features like base building and stuff. It's just really weird and fiddly. But they have, I don't know what it is, but somewhere in the core principles of their studio is screwed up somewhere. And even a developer recently said, previously worked at Bethesda, the creation engine is one of those problems. And they would be better off switching to something like Unreal. Obviously, not always an option. Unreal is not always the best for building big and detailed worlds. We will see what the heck Star Atlas tries to do with it, because they are trying to do a Star Citizen so we'll have to see. I hope they do it, because that will pull Unreal Engine into a much better state for a lot more games than it currently is. Ashes of Creation is also doing one. They've helped Unreal develop embedded server meshing for a 2D plane, not necessarily a 3D plane. Also really weird. Well, really different than what Star Citizen is doing. There's
because
a lot
it's a 2D plane, and
because it's 2D plane,
fantasy
and they're
game.
and they're doing it backwards to what. So, Star Citizen said we can't do every server connecting to every server and then
They can't do it
Ashes
for
of
because
Creation
it's like we're
said
going to
they
do it
can't
that way.
Yeah, and then Ashes of Creation said we can't do replication layer. So they both
Ashes,
said
well,
they can't do, and they developed a solution in the opposite direction. So they both solved each other's
Yeah.
thing that they said was impossible, which is great. That's how the game industry works. Ta-da!
well, it's
Um,
the Ashes of Creation model wouldn't work for Star Citizen because it wouldn't support the level of fidelity and the amount of
And
data that Star Citizen generates. You know, and the player counts. The
Ashes isn't dynamic, is it? It's a
no,
static
it's
mesh,
static.
right?
It's
Yeah.
a static mesh.
So
And that's why it's a static mesh, and it allows you to have higher player counts and the transition between servers and everything. But the amount of data that a 2D game that is a fantasy style game like Ashes of Creation generates it pales in
way
comparison to
lower.
what Star Citizen does.
Like it's not they're not driving, ships with millions of entities and
Yeah.
players moving all these entities and boxes and like all the stuff players can move around, plus NPCs
Yeah.
and all their AI data.
The replication layer
how-
model for Ashes wouldn't work on a static mesh at the level of detail and fidelity that they wanted.
Right.
Because that's the thing is if you have a single replicant, a single replication layer, but you've got 10,000 players across 30 servers that are connected, interconnected like how they are, then they're all running off of one replication layer. And it's because it's static. Well, they don't, if you don't have a dynamically scaling replication layer, you can't support those higher player counts and those higher amounts of connections. That's what dynamic server meshing does. You can't do what Ashes wants with static server meshing with a single replication layer.
Right.
You can only handle so many connections, and that's why the
CIG optimized the replication layer structure to make it work, and Ashes said we're not going to connect every server to every server. We're going to connect them locally, and so it's only to adjacent servers that talk. So they both solved the problem that each other said was impossible by just better engineering, and it's just great. It's just great.
Yeah, the Ashes model will work for however many other games have similar needs, which is good because somebody paved the way for them, and like someone else doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. Just like Star Citizens will
build
work
off that.
For
like now that they have that,
something else.
Another engineer can come along and say, "Hey, this almost works for my game, but I need to do this," and they'll edit it. Like they now have Unreal. It's there when you install the engine, and you can just go ham. But Unreal does not work for a lot of games. Unity doesn't work for a lot of games. Unigine doesn't work for a lot of games. Sometimes you just have to write your own engine.
Let's see. The team and I are determined to repay that faith, patience, and support by delivering 2 games unlike any other. We have already made great strides. With today's release, server meshing is no longer a question mark, but a reality, and seeing the results of a more densely populated universe, as well as better performance and stability, we are closer than ever to realizing a dream many have said is impossible. With a clear destination for both Squadron 42's release, the Star Citizen 1.0 roadmap, a focused team, and most importantly, the enthusiasm and support from the best community in gaming, we will deliver. This confidence comes from the unwavering dedication of the Evocati testers, the hundreds of thousands of you who help us. I know several who are fantastic, but there's a lot that is just chaff. The hundreds of thousands of you who help us test releases at scale in the PTU, and the immense amount of constructive feedback shared across Spectrum. Constructive feedback, not just all feedback. Constructive, we don't care about the rest. Across Spectrum, Discord, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Reddit, your involvement shapes Star Citizen in countless ways, making this journey a truly collaborative effort. The impact of the community is felt far beyond the game as well. In 2024 alone, an incredible 203 Bar Citizen meetups were held, bringing players together to celebrate their passion for our shared universe. This year also shattered in-person attendance records. Community-organized events such as BATCon and the Shenzhen Bar Citizen each drew over 2,000 attendees, while CitizenCon 2954 in Manchester welcomed more than 5,000 fans from every corner of the globe. Over 1 million of you have played 32 million hours in the game this year, and our ranks have swelled by almost 500,000 citizens. This is a community that is only getting stronger. The journey hasn't been without its challenges. What?
And if they're not careful, more toxic. They really gotta get a lid on that.
Yeah.
Like there are some like veteran community managers, like they I forget where it was, because I watched a video somewhere on how to what they need to do to tackle the toxicity in the community. And it's simpler than I remember it being, but I don't remember what the video was nor what it was. But it was like, it was a really simple something. I don't remember what it was. Hey Naz, the mic is over there. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my mic today. Other than I'm just talking slowly and quietly.
The journey hasn't been without its challenges, but nothing great ever comes easy, and there's no one we'd rather have by our side than you. Thanks for all your support in 2024. Wishing you happy holidays and looking forward to the great things we'll do together in 2025. Chris Roberts, founder and CEO. Hooray.
It only took us 2 hours.
Yep. I mean, we went on a few rants and a few tangents. That's the norm. But a good letter from the chairman, a few things that are very, I'm looking forward to seeing add block feature toxicity fixed. Easy. I'm looking forward to seeing how they execute on the whole parallel development thing, I guess you'd call it. I'm not sure how to describe
Sometimes
that.
parallel.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see
call it
how they
AEIO and sometimes parallel.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they implement that and what things they choose to put in ePTU and what things do not, and how that will work alongside. Is there anything else they're going to use tech preview for? Is that done? Are they going to? I mean, I imagine we'll have tech preview for dynamic server meshing and maybe a few other services that lead up to that. I don't know. We'll see.
So, which patch do you think is going to include dynamic? Assuming it's we're gonna get 1 point a quarter.
I think that we will see the first iteration of dynamic server meshing. I think we'll start testing it in Q2 and it'll release in Q3 with the Q3 patch.
Then I'll be overly optimistic, and I'll say they'll start working on it when they come back from break in earnest, and we'll get a planned release for Q2.
Oh, okay. We shall see.
Because they said it shouldn't be a patch cycle or multi-month cycle, whatever, and that like they're really close and they really want to just kind of skip towards it. So I'm not going to be too overly optimistic and say Q1, because Q1's always more the get back to work kind of like patch. So I'm going to say Q1's the get back to work patch. I'm going to say Q2.
Could be. Yeah, it'll be. I also wonder if
I imagine
the first iteration. Yeah, that's part of why. Like, I don't think they're going to introduce dynamic while we only have the two systems.
Yeah, I just think Nyx is close enough to being done to just.
Yeah, I hope. I want it to be
within the next 6 months we get, because like I know you don't like to hear it, but like they did the spacescaping. They said they did the spacescaping. We saw Levski. That's pretty done.
Well, so like imagine
done.
This is the 4.1 Q1, 4.2 Q2 thing. I think it's going to be an example of I wouldn't be surprised if like Nyx is ready by then. The content is ready, but I just have this sagging feeling that the feature of dynamic will block the release of Nyx. And they'll be able to say, hey, we wanted to get it in, but we really don't want to add a third system, until we can scale up the mesh, if that makes sense. Because with that, I think that is where we're going to get a much higher player count. They're not going to want to add Nyx with still be 600 players per shard, and dilute the player count. I think they're going to want to add Nyx when they can dynamically scale up the shard count in order to fill up the systems more. And I think that this is the target, this is the goal. But I feel like the testing of dynamic, and I could see it being affected by the development of the ATC refactor, because that's a requirement too. And this is the goal, and they want to start testing it here before 4.1 even starts, but it won't be able to start being tested until here, which means all of this will shift over a couple months. But for me, it's like Q2, Q3, 6, 1/2 dozen. That's nothing in the time frame of development. The fact that we could go from static to dynamic in less than a year is mind-boggling to 99.9% of the community anyway. So
So with Nyx, you're saying is going to be content ready somewhere between Q1 to Q3, Q1 to Q2. Do you then predict that we will get possibly by the end of the year, possibly Q1 26? There goes the name. Your favorite planet, Casca.
Oh, Castra. Yeah.
Castra.
Casca on the planet, Castra the system.
Yeah.
Do I want it? Absolutely.
Well, yeah, but do you think they can, if let's say Nyx is content complete Q1, do you think they can get Castra done by Q4?
I honestly think that Castra is going to remain what they've shown with the 2 planets, because with 2 planets you only have 10 Lagrange points total. With the 2 planets, and so that means only a handful of stations. And so I think that they are aiming for Castra Q4. And so it would be the patch after. It would be 2 quarters from when they want Nyx to get dropped with dynamic, but instead it will be 1 quarter. If that makes sense.
Yeah, if they get 2 systems this year, it's 1 point is a lot closer. But also, if they get to do Nyx this year, if they do Pyro 24, Nyx 25, and Cascom 26, and Terra 27, that's still a lot closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, and that's basically what I've been thinking. So we'll see. We're at 2 hours and 20 minutes. Why don't we breeze through the patch watches real quick and just talk about some of the highlights? Yeah. So the first one was, let me make sure I got these in the right order.
That's the order.
Why did it refresh? Yeah, November 12th, 25th, and December 7th, I think it was. I don't know why 17th. Okay, cool. So the first one, fireworks. I was like, what on earth is that? What is going on with my house?
Just, weekly gunshots. Oh, wait, no, that's not that this year. Week.
Ether Drift says, does this mean that Genesis is working surely to build everything out that quick? Genesis is needed. No, I don't think it is.
So that's the weird part, is everything Genesis related is in a pre-production phase. And they was on Spectrum. I don't know where they said it, but they said it. Go have a ball and look for it. Nothing from Genesis is even on the roadmap to be put in. all of the stuff that is being put in Nyx and Castra, as far as we know, is Planet Tech V4. Even the stuff we saw, the Castra that we saw is Planet Tech V4.
Yep. I think that when Genesis more comes online, or those bits of Genesis come online, they can, kind of like they repainted all the planets with V4. I think they can repaint or redo the planets for V5 with Genesis, and things will look different, or look better and be a higher standard, but it'll be the same planet.
Yeah.
Just with, better transitions, better, more diverse biomes and
I
stuff.
don't think they want to stop the location team from doing their work to get the Planet Tech team on board.
Yeah.
I
You
think they
don't
want
need
both those teams to go
Genesis.
forward.
Yeah, you don't need Genesis to build to build the star systems for 1.0 in the time frame that NAS just put out. You don't need Genesis for that. You need what they already have and server meshing. You need the Planet Tech team and the Planet Content teams to actually have their restraining bolts taken off because they don't have server meshing telling them not to.
Yep.
Because building planets and biomes is not hard. It literally takes them a couple weeks to make a planet, weeks to a couple months. Putting content on them at the scale that we have, and that's going to be the thing, is with dynamic server meshing and higher player counts. Are they going to put a cap on shards in the meantime until we have the amount of content that they want to eventually put on planets? That will be the interesting thing to see for Starchitect, if that makes sense. The number of POI and etc. So for Patch Watch, the first one, Alpha 4.0 Patch Watch, the Balancing Act. So they made big changes to quantum travel. And this is something that they alluded to in, most people don't realize that this has been the goal for how they want quantum travel to work, and how it's partly worked for the longest time. And this is how they make it so that way large ships can transition big systems, in a reasonable time frame. Is this acceleration curve? You accelerate slowly in a large ship, but you finally accelerate to a much higher top speed in a large ship, and you're able to sustain that top speed for longer than a small ship. So you can traverse a far greater distance, but you still have to decelerate at the back end of that curve. Which is why a much smaller ship with a steeper acceleration curve can reach their top speed and then decelerate in that short period of time, making a short distance. So we don't have figures on all that. But so it says, before diving into what the second update on quantum travel covers, let's clarify what it doesn't include. Changes to spool and calibration time, which are scheduled for a later update. These will come with post engineering, because these are going to be affected by engineering. That gameplay plays into that. Since spool time, how quickly your ship shifts from SCM to nav mode, plays a critical role in combat balance. We're approaching it carefully to avoid unintended impacts. For now, spool time remains primarily determined by the ship archetype settings from a previous update. After reducing quantum travel times overall in Alpha 3.24.2, Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 introduces new variations in maximum QT speeds, acceleration rates, and fuel consumption based on each quantum drive's grade and class, while ensuring balanced performance across all drive sizes. So this is the first step in the big balancing. They bring them into the archetypes based off the grade and class. And then fine tune them from there. Each quantum drive now has 3 core properties fine tuned for this update to enhance performance and strategic options: maximum quantum travel speed, acceleration rate to reach maximum QT speed, quantum fuel consumption. When activated, a quantum drive accelerates the ship to its maximum speed, maintains that speed during travel, and then decelerates it as it nears its destination. So even for Pyro, which is nearly double the size of Stanton, it's still a small system, and as we get bigger and bigger systems, they will adjust these top speeds. And in smaller systems, your bigger ships won't even reach their top speed because they'll still be going up their acceleration curve, and then they'll just they'll hit that midpoint of their journey where they need to start decelerating without even having reached that top speed. And so for the smaller systems, it might be better to take a smaller or medium ship to travel across. But for a much larger system, you will quickly accelerate, hit that top speed, but you'll be, it won't be fast enough to allow you to traverse a very large distance, for a big system before you run out of fuel, if that makes sense, or before you need to drop out of quantum to cool your quantum drive, and allow it to cool down and then respool. So this for me is a much more interesting update than it is for some people, because this is the beginning of getting us ready for larger systems. Currently, Nyx is only 11 AU, so only slightly larger than Pyro, but Castra is 22, and I want to say Terra was like 12 or 13, 14, something like that, so a little bit bigger. But as we go out past the 1.0 systems, things can get really big really fast. And so they have to start getting us ready for this and introducing these properties, so that way we understand them. Because these things are going to change as we get more systems that are even longer. And they will start introducing longer travel times, and making, adjusting these curves and archetypes to have things fit where they want them to fit in the overall game. But it's going to be a long time. And then, so there's a big economy balance. And I don't think we need to read through all of this, but they balance quantum hydrogen fuel. They balance a lot of FPS gear. They change how much you get from components and weapons from ships, because people were exploiting it by spawning a ship, taking the weapons and components off, and then claiming it, and then just selling the weapons and components and getting free money. So they drastically knocked that down.
They've touched basically everything.
Yeah.
Including the ship cargo manifest. They've rebalanced that. They've touched shops. They've touched every single commodity.
Mic closer to your face, or face closer to mic.
Quantum fuel FPS gear. Every new mission is now in line with the effort versus reward. Ammo, weapon attachments, consumables, food, drink, medical supplies. So almost everything, if not everything, in the game has been touched in some form to bring it in line with their current goals. That's not to say that in 3.0 or 4.1 that it won't have further adjustments. Their current goal is now reaching this almost entire economy over.
Mm-hmm.
So whole new game, whole new economy to get used to. Like everything about commodities is changed. Where, what to buy, elasticity, price, rarity, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even to mention the rarity that's coming soon.
Yeah, another big thing is the cost of bombs and torpedoes has gone up substantially.
Didn't they have it higher than or at a point, and then people complained too much, then they brought it down a little?
Well, yeah, and I don't remember if that was a bug or what, but they're definitely still very expensive. What people complained a lot about is when you claimed your Polaris, you didn't get a new load of torpedoes with it, and so if you lost your Polaris, due to a bug, without even firing the torpedoes, well, that whole load of torpedoes that costs millions and millions of UEC is gone. So
I love those tiers. Those tiers were so good.
It was great. I was all here for it, but I had to acknowledge the fact that when the Polaris came out in PTU, mine blew up 3 different times before I even got it out of the hangar.
Oh wow.
due to bugs. And
Wow.
had that persisted to live, I'd be out however many millions of credits, just due to a hangar door bug, because that was one of them. I started to strafe up. I wasn't even strafing up fast. A hangar door looked like it was open. It was, the server said it was not, and then big bada boom. So,
Well,
it's fair. I hope that they can find a way to make it so that way, if you fire it, it's gone until you buy a new one. Now, if you fire 6 of your torpedoes and then you claim your Polaris, well, you get
no, what they should do. What they should do is
22.
have combat level insurance, and your combat level insurance is how you get armaments back.
Yeah.
When you're doing a claim, you have if you put a claim on your cargo or not combat insurance, then you get your resupply. But that's an additional level on top of your base insurance.
Yeah. Danger Hobo says, when I try to sell stuff from my own ships, the shop just won't take it. Do you do it with a buddy? That sounds like a bug. I have not run into that issue, but I've only sold looted items.
And also try a different shop, because some of them don't take some stuff.
Torpedoes are a civil service. They should be free, and the larger they are, the freer they are. Bald eagle levels are free. Nice.
Speaking of bald eagles, nice American fact of the year. The bald eagle is now the national bird.
Wasn't always the national bird?
Nope. New this year.
Huh?
It's been on buildings, it's been on currency. Never once did the US actually make the bald eagle the national bird.
Huh.
Wasn't a thing, and they just kind of like used it a lot. It's finally now the national bird.
Interesting.
So that happened this year.
Yeah.
I guess now last year for me.
So
Wow.
I'll put the links to these patch watches in the show notes. So if you want to check them out later, just hit up the description in the YouTube video for the document. But I recommend it be, so I'll read this real quick. In our patch watch series, we highlight upcoming features, improvements, and fixes not shown on the public roadmap. So these always fly under the radar. CIG does not advertise these well. They do them for usually every patch. But they did 3 of them for 4.0. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to across the community who did not even know these existed. And then we're like, wait a minute, what the hell? And it's like, oh yeah, that was in the patch watch. And they're like, wait, the what? And so that's why I wanted to briefly cover these, just to bring awareness to these. If you want to know the details, please go read it. But I'll share it in the show notes. But Naz and I wanted to bring awareness to these changes because they fly under the radar because they're not on the release view. Not only people not check out the progress tracker, but people don't even look at, people go straight to the release view without reading the roadmap update, which is why Nazeris and I do these things and read the roadmap update, not just look at the release view, and why we read these things, not just, surprise, because it heightens awareness for these changes. Changes to the roadmap, additions to the patch that otherwise don't get much in the way of coverage. So this one was on November 25th from Jake Acapella. Missy Jake, I hope you are well, my friend. Jake left CIG. I'm not going to speculate on why, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss Jake. Jake has been a good friend of the Pathfinders and a good personal friend for a long time. So
If you want to speculate, I will, because I'm an optimist. So I'm just going to assume he found a better job and is doing what he loves to do.
Yeah, I hope all for nothing but good things for Jake. Jake is the best of people. So this one's Alpha 4.0 Patch Watch Fire and Metal.
Which is heartbreaking because fire's not in it.
Yeah, no fire yet. So I'll read the first one if you want to take the next.
Sure.
So with Pyro server meshing, new missions, and more coming to the verse, there's a lot more content to explore. However, there's a few updates that might not get picked up on your radar, which you can find below. Epic loot, no contest. Contested zones are coming to the verse in Alpha 4.0 on all new Pardon
And
me.
all new.
An all-new location type first arriving in the Pyro system. First arriving in the Pyro system. So we'll see these again. These uniquely crafted
It's called
areas
Grimhex,
provide
but it's fine.
provide both a challenge against entrenched pirate gangs, as well and actually we'll get down to it, as well as other players after the same treasure you are. One such gang is the community crafted Fire Rats, a criminal and religious organization. They revere Pyro Star and the solar flares it plagues the system with, which we also don't have yet. Other than their self-inflicted scarring from observing the star, they're most famous for being shipjackers. So make sure your ramps are closed. I can't wait for this experience. I want to get carjacked in Pyro by an NPC.
Is that a thing?
No, it's not a thing yet, but I want it to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
I
that's what I
want my
mean. Like,
I want my shit to be disabled and boarded by NPCs.
all of that flavor text, none of that's in.
Mm-hmm.
That's heartbreaking.
Yep. Below are some examples of the spoils you may find within the zone controlled by the Fire Rats, with a heat-distorted design to complement the gang's aesthetic. Other gangs have their heels dug in throughout the Pyro system, such as Horizon, Xenothreat, and more, all with their own spoils. Follow the trail of treasure, and the risk will be worth the reward. It wasn't until I read this patch watch that I realized that the different contested zones are controlled by different gangs, even though they're on stations that are not controlled by those gangs.
They're contested. That's what contested means.
Well, I know, but I didn't realize that it was, each one was a different gang. I thought it's like, it's a rough and ready station. So
they are attempting to take that station, and they have got that much ground of every station's a land war.
Yeah. I will say that this armor is freaking gorgeous.
Yes.
I don't know what there's a word for that where it like
the heat treated.
Yeah, the heat treated looking
color?
with like the color variation and stuff.
It's not iridescent.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called. It has a name.
Iridescent, but that's not the that's not the term.
Yeah.
Also,
but
I will absolutely
super
happily
cool.
pay galvanized.
Maybe? I don't know.
So maybe I will absolutely buy like the S71 heat treated off of somebody. Absolutely.
Yeah. These came out really good. I think they look super cool, and this is a reason for me to do contested zones because I want to, I want to collect that stuff.
And
I think that looks super
we
cool.
need base building so that you can set up a shop to sell me your contested zone suit.
Mm-hmm. I would give you a pair just because I appreciate you.
Like honestly, I plan to run a mall in Star Citizen where I build the buildings, build all the infrastructure, and maintain it, and I just lease out shop fronts for players who don't want to base build, don't want to maintain a whole bunch of base stuff, and just want to sell stuff. So they can go off and do whatever loop they want to do and have a space where they can sell it, which centralizes both selling and buying. So both parties.
Naz wants to be a
benefit.
commercial landlord.
I think of it more as a community builder. See.
Yeah. Next bit.
All right. Anvil Carrick's new groove. God dang, I hate their puns. In case you missed it, the first episode of the IAC show, a pair of updates are making their way over to the Anvil Carrick in 4.0. The cargo pods on the side of the ship now have both functioning doors as well as cargo grids. Yay, finally. As a word of note, though, they don't really open very far, and they don't like the Caterpillar also doesn't go to the ground. So you're not going to be driving stuff or lifting stuff nicely into them. This greatly increases the functionality and cargo capacity of the Carrick. Haulers rejoice. You're now able to easily utilize additional 406 SCU of the cargo provides by these cargo pods. Also for salvagers, getting the freaking crap out of the cargo pods. That's been a problem since salvaging started. Plus, the long-awaited blast shields for the bridge have arrived. For your shades, just in time for Pyro's system, even though it doesn't actually need them, nor do they work in any substantial way because solo blasts aren't in and maelstrom damage doesn't exist. Updates now available in the Carrack, 2 Carrack pilots in the on the PTU and now in live. Yeah, they completely reworked the entire blast shields. They look good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of
Yeah, it
I
looks
kind of
cool,
do
and
miss that garage door, but
I'm glad that you can
look good.
yeet cargo up into these pods now.
Yeah,
You
it
know.
cargo like this from the ground is always a 2-man job. Like it should always be a 2-man
Yep.
job. You're just shooting yourself for, or you just like to do chill and take 10 times the amount of time to do anything. But like it's fine. You should
Mhm.
have something in the pod and on the ground with Carrack, with the Caterpillar, with the C2 or the Hercules series. Like because of the height difference and not being able to see, you should and the distance, you should always have 2 people.
Yep.
That even counts for like the CSV. You should have one person. Well, that's a 3-man job. Driving the CSV, loading the CSV, unloading the CSV. There you go.
Yeah, it's a nice quality of life
Logistics
improvement.
tips.
I just hope it means that the now we just have to figure out getting the doors to drop down to the ground, just like the cat.
That's
We'll
gonna
see.
take a little bit of geometry rework.
Even if it happens, like we've got
But also
tractor
they're
beams.
supposed to be pods. They're modular as well. So
Yeah. FOIP improvements. Alpha 4.0 brings with it a number of improvements to the FOIP system. FOIP uses your webcam to capture your facial expressions and mimic them on your character in-game in real time to enhance your sense of immersion. This was shown off at CitizenCon. It works really well. I've done it on my own. I've seen people messing around with it, and it's like, wow, there's much more detailed capacity for expression, which is great.
I need to test. There's only one question I have. Does it work with glasses now?
Oh, I have not
'Cause-
tested that.
So unless I'm doing like shoving my glasses to my face, it always misreads the top of my lens as my eyelids or my eyebrows, and it will like completely just shut my eyes in game. It's terrible. So I'll just get like flickering eyelids or eyebrows weirdness, and it just doesn't work. So, but like I was able to get, if you have a light facing your face and you are whatever for your resolution for your webcam is, but there's a nice distance and you're clear to your camera. Even the old system worked very well. So I'm hoping that this system works. I know it has more range of motion, so that's a big thing with this new one. But it also should be less jittery. Hopefully it works with glasses now, which I need to test. So I'm actually really excited for the FOIP. Like more than a lot of the minor improvements, I'm really excited that the FOIP got in.
My experience has been good with it. This is even more ammo and incentive for me to finally get it set up so that you and I can do an episode in game with our characters. I want to do that, on board the Polaris, out in space somewhere or on someplace cool. Probably out in space so we can actually hide and not get blown up mid-episode, but do it in game with FOIP, with the camera and stuff. I think that'd be really cool to do sometime. Maybe make it a semi-regular thing. All right, last one.
Maybe like a monthly special or something.
So this was at December 17th, and we'll actually read through this economy one because this is very important because a lot of people totally missed this and didn't understand the wipe or why. As highlighted in Alpha 4.0 patch watch number 1, back here, Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 brings a comprehensive overhaul to the in-game economy. This update enables us to collect valuable gameplay and trading data directly from your Star Citizen play sessions. So, this update enables us to collect valuable gameplay and trading data directly from your Star Citizen play sessions. They were not tracking all of this before. This is something that's been added in because they are going to be doing a lot of economy balancing going forward. This is gathering data for the economy team to make these changes, which is the reason why we are wiping with a clean slate. Combined with your provided feedback, this data will drive ongoing adjustments and fine tuning to ensure a balanced and immersive economic experience in the verse. Our team will also be monitoring closely for any exploits, loopholes that may negatively impact the economy. And I hope that they can do a better job of, uh, well, they haven't even been doing it, period. We've just been getting wiped, of selectively wiping people who exploit.
No, the mule exploit was sniped.
Yeah.
It was not wiped.
But we've had, more often than not, we've had wipes, due to exploits and stuff, and I'm hoping that going forward, because they have the ability to track these exploits and people who are doing these sort of things, that they'll be better about that so we can avoid wipes in the future.
Well, there's at least one more.
Yeah.
always
One
the one
recent
more.
loophole. Yeah, there's always one more. And I hope that they can wipe those people and give them a slap on
Well,
the
I
wrist.
mean,
Like,
like,
I want them to wipe
1.0
those
is
people and have
the
those
one
people
more.
wake up in Klesher.
You know what they need to do? They need to make the Hurston people, Hurston security, more like the Half-Life.
Yeah. One recent loophole allowed players to spawn ships in their hangars, remove valuable components such as weapons and mining heads for resale, and then reclaim the fully equipped ship through insurance. This process generated large amounts of AUEC in a short time, disrupting the game's economy and creating imbalances, which will be crucial for us to avoid. Which really sucks, because I am all about looting components and weapons. I want to, if I destroy a ship or find a destroyed or derelict ship, I want to, take the stuff and sell it. Like, it's free money. To mitigate this and similar exploits, we're implementing a temporary adjustment. The sale prices of ship weapons will be reduced to significantly less than their purchase costs. Womp womp. This measure serves as an interim solution while we continue to refine the long-term design of our insurance and warranty systems, which we heard about at CitizenCon, which will more comprehensively address fraudulent vehicle part duplication.
Yay!
Please soon, because I want
please
to
soon.
pick. I have no interest in hull scraping or munching, but picking the parts off of derelict or abandoned ships, is something I want to do and enjoy doing.
One of the story loops, I guess I would call it, not necessarily a game loop, but a story loop that I want to do in Star Citizen is that ship made of other ship parts, where like my ship all the components on my ship were just I found them, I picked through a ship's wreckage, and I sold the ones I didn't need and took the ones I did, and upgraded or changed out parts of my ship.
Yeah,
I really like that kind of storyline.
And that's how, like, the majority of the MMOs I've played, like, that's how I rarely buy gear for my character. I upgrade my character with stuff that I, more often than not, that I loot. And that's a big driver of gameplay, and it encourages you to loot things and explore, and if everybody's just buying stuff at the store, because that's where you get it, it really disincentivizes using these really detailed systems that CIG have built into the game. And so I want that to be an incentive. I want people to do that, whether you're reselling it or, ooh, look, I found this ship that has these weapons. I can take these and put this on this ship, or I'll hold on to them until I buy this ship that I want to get, and then I'll have these ready. That's a classic gameplay loop or part of a gameplay loop for me for MMOs going back 20 years. We'll closely monitor your feedback on the upcoming economic rebalancing and look forward to long-term implementations that will offer more robust support. And next to you.
All right. Some of you want to explore the 30th century as a futuristic version of yourself, while others prefer to step into the shoes of someone entirely different. No matter who you want to be in Alpha 4.0, we want to give you the opportunity to do so. Your journey begins with the character creator. To give you even more ways to craft a truly unique avatar, we're excited to announce the addition of 20 new heads to the DNA pool. These new additions will grant you greater flexibility to create a new character that feels distinctly yours. Below, you'll find 3 examples of what can be done with the expanded DNA pool. Now it's your turn. We can't wait to see what your creativity makes the how your creativity makes the verse even more diverse and vibrant.
I wonder what that brings the total head count to, because didn't they have like 75 total they're working towards?
I don't remember. I have to go back and watch it. I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
I really enjoyed. I mean, I don't get anything out of using the character creator, but I really like seeing the characters that people create. You know, I love seeing the diversity in the universe, especially because CIG creates NPCs using all this, and so you know, and once we have even more reason to not wear, be full spacesuited and stuff, it's going to be it really. This is a big part of what makes the universe feel alive, is if everybody looks different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes everything feel a lot better. Not having a lot of defaults running around.
Yep. Marker update. You raised concerns about mineable markers, and we're happy to report that these issues have been resolved in Alpha 4.0. Additionally, we're excited to announce that the Mist Prospector has received some much anticipated improvements, a lot of ship QOLs. Miners can now more easily attach and detach mining sacks, streamlining resource collection and improving the overall mining experience. With these fixes and updates in place, we wish our miners the best of luck in their resource hunts.
Not that they can do anything with it, but sure.
Yeah.
Opportunities in... Oh, God.
I am not one of those people that enjoy crafting. I am one of those people that enjoy going hunting for the things that crafters need to craft. I can't wait for those player-generated contracts. I can't wait for Naz to say, I need 10 of these. And from what I know, the only place you can get them is Caliban. And I need you to go take the risk to go get it.
Yep. Because
Cheerio, I'll be back.
I'm clam when I'm sitting in my room of machines that craft or my crafting area in a game and just doing nothing but going between tables.
Yep.
And I want to resources and I'm just tinkering around.
I want to be sent on this, what I think is an epic quest for Nazeris to make something just absolutely insane. And I go out to Caliban and I have to sneak around some Vanduul and I get in some scrapes and I land on the landing pad at Nazeris's base, and my Valkyrie is full of holes and venting atmosphere and smoke. And I get out and I'm limping, with my backpack, carrying this backpack full of these really rare materials. And I dump it on his table and be like, here you go. I hope this is worth it. It better be good. And you turn around and you take like a really amazing sandwich out of it. And I'm like, what? That's the loot.
To the closest back to town.
Yeah. And yeah, I got paid, but I went through all that risk because Nazeris's character has a really, highfalutin palette, and the only place to get these things is on, oh gosh, I forget the name of the previously human planet in Caliban, but that's the only place it grows. And, I had to get these.
Now I want a sandwich and I don't know what you done.
Yeah. Naz is one of those people. He's like, no, I don't want the dried herb. I want the fresh one. I want the fresh
I'm the one
Caliban basil.
sending Tree to the place to go pick up what's the plant that only grows in Japan? Oh no, my brain just stopped. It's horseradish everywhere else. Wasabi. I'm sending him to go get the wasabi in Vanduul space instead of just taking the stupid horseradish like everyone else does.
Yeah, that's they talked about
it's
how
worse
they
than Uber Eats. It's like it's ingredients eats like it's not even the food yet.
Yeah, Naz needs it in order to craft this blueprint for a recipe that he got. in order to fulfill some quest with, the culinary society, in order to improve his reputation. But he doesn't want to take the risk to go to Caliban to get it, so he sends me to go get it, blah, blah, blah. That's what closes that loop for 1.0 that they showed us for me, is being able to facilitate, hey, Naz doesn't want to do this gameplay. That's not his thing. It's my thing. I'll go do it. But I want those clips from Twitch where those things happen, and it's, somebody just nearly died and risked everything for something that they thought was vitally important, and it really wasn't. That's what I want.
Yep. Labrador blueprints. Oh, that would kill me because I would work so hard for those.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that same thing. I mean, just not humorous, but like, Naz, is really good at crafting and has gotten, he's built up his crafting infrastructure to be able to make the good
skills,
things.
remember, skills.
Yeah. Yeah. And you need to have this high level, crafting machine to be able to make this thing from a high level blueprint, but he doesn't have the blueprint. He's got the machine, and he's mined the generic materials and stuff, or maybe he's gotten all the materials. He just needs the blueprint. But the rumor is the blueprint can only be, found, on these derelict stations, in the Virgil system, or something like that, that were owned by this corporation, and you have to find one on a computer that hasn't been destroyed by the Vandal, and you have to hack your way into the system after, sneaking your way through Virgil and stuff, and sneaking / fighting.
I can imagine a Xion expansion post 1.0 where we actually start getting beyond blueprint.
Yeah.
And crafting Xion things. Like, not only are those blueprints going to be highly rare because we're not supposed to have them as humans, the Xion tech, but also the materials we have to craft it out of is probably also going to be needed to come from Xion space, because they have different metals and different things.
Let's see, where is it? Hold on.
Oh, that makes me really happy. And yeah, I can't wait to get to space station. Like, I want to, and I think it's going to be really fun. But yeah, it's going to take dozens of players, because it's not you can't hoard that much resources. You need infrastructure.
That's why I have this. Delivery, retrieval, acquisitions. I want to be a space gopher. Naz wants a thing. He doesn't want to leave his cozy crafting hut. I go get the thing.
Or spend manpower on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Naz is too busy refining and mining in order to make the to make the materials or the generics. He needs me to go get the rare thing in this system, or the rare blueprint, or whatever it is. I will go retrieve it. I am a golden retriever, except for I'm a shifty little green goblin golden retriever. So opportunities in Pyro. Expendable manpower.
Yep.
I am expendable manpower. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll be
Pyro
expended.
introduced a range of new and exclusive minables, ship mining profession, offering
There you
unique
go.
opportunities for prospectors throughout the system. Here's a sneak peek of what you can expect. New base materials defined as rock, tin, silicon, and ice. Yes, ice is a rock. That is its scientific definition. Rare minerals, Stilteron. Sure.
Styleron,
and-
Styleron, Styleron.
Stilteron. And Rhyosite? I gotta say
The
it's Rhyosite.
rarest material in Pyro. See, like,
Even rarer than Quantanium. Oh, that.
and like,
You're getting that from me.
yeah. Well,
Ah.
like, if those are hand minables, I'm not gonna go flying around a prospector and do ship mining. But hand minables in a cave, and it's only on Pyro 2 or something like that. I will brave Pyro and all the pirates and the gankers and everything like that to go find the thing for Naz. So that way he can make his spoon to eat his fancy ice cream, that doesn't taint his palate or whatever. Yeah.
I can only have this rare mineral spoon
Yeah.
from the pyro system.
Yeah, Nazeris is going to be an in-game sommelier, and he needs this rare sand to make a special wine glass or something. Unique resource distribution. The Pyro system's resource distribution is shaped by its distinct environmental factors. Temperature rings. Pyro is divided into zones based on its proximity to its star. Closer to the star, temperatures rise while the outer regions grow colder. For example, ice is more abundant in the cooler outskirts of the system. Density variations. Dense base materials are typically found in warmer regions, whereas lighter, porous materials like ice and silicone are more common in the colder outer zones. Some details have been intentionally left for you to discover, so prepare your mining ship, venture into Pyro, and uncover its wealth of resources firsthand. Happy prospecting. See, I like that this incentivizes people to go to the dangerous place and still do an industrial gameplay, or pay someone else for it once you've got crafting. This is,
Like, all
part
of this
of
resource
the
stuff
loop.
is great. Problem is,
It's not complete.
it ends at mining it.
Yep, it ends at mining it. Soon
I mean,
TM.
technically, you can refine, but like that's. I have to talk to my mining lead, but like, I don't know how worth refining actually is. Whether the time would be better spent just selling off and going on another mining run.
Yeah. And it's probably varies from, wildly from material to material.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
In terms of how available it is and what price you're, getting, and yeah. But yeah, that is the last of the patch watch. So there's a lot going on in 4.0 and Pyro that isn't on the release view, that people don't, readily know, that does change the game to an extent. Some, more for some than others. But it is, there are more additions than just server meshing, Pyro, and jump points. There's a lot under the hood that people don't necessarily realize. So let's go ahead and switch screens and wrap up the show. All right, I'm going to close those tabs and move that back over.
Is it 2025 for you yet?
It is 11:08. It is 2025
Oh wow,
for
you still
you,
got
right?
Yeah, you still got an hour to go. Jeez.
I don't know. I'm going to make it. Luckily, my wife's off tomorrow, so I don't have to wake up.
Yeah, so I
early
need
with the
them
kids.
not to do. I need them not to do, if they're going to do a Montreal visit. I need them not to do it next year, or this year, I guess now, 2025. I need them not to do it in 2025.
Oh, you want them to do it in 2026 because you'll be living in New York, and you'll be
well,
like,
that and I
That's
will
like
not
driving
have money to
distance.
go. Yeah, straight across the border. And if I get to go to Albany like I plan, it's really close to the border. Yeah. So, but I because of car plus moving, I will not have funds by the end of the year to also go any significant distance. And or be so the plan is the first 2 quarters first 2 quarters of 2026 to move. That's the plan. So by the end of 2025, October 2025, I'll be kind of like in the middle and kind of like finalizing plans, making sure I have the money I need. So travel and a big event probably won't really nicely fit in there. So
Yep, that's fair. That's
my
the
entire
hard
being
part
is
is,
focused on moving. So
I only have so much budget for going away, and leaving my wife home with the kids in a given year. And since I didn't do anything this year, I'm taking advantage of this next year. That's why those schools related to my promotion are this year, because my wife said, no, you're not going anywhere in 2024 because of the babies, the twins, and the move and all that. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm going in 2025. One of them is only 2 weeks long. The other one I'm here, doing distance learning, but I still have another school, that's 2 weeks long. So that's 2 2-week classes, courses. And then I've got the conference in September that I'm one of the organizers for, and I'll be gone for 6 days for that. And so I have to make sure that there's enough gap in between things and pick the right dates for my second course to make sure that I'm not gone too long, too often, that I'm, you know, putting too much burden on the wifey, because I still want to go to CitizenCon if it's in the US this year. If it's not, then I'm like, okay, sweet. It can wait until 2026, or if it's Montreal, I'm safe.
So our
But
perfect scenario is this year is Austin, next year is Montreal.
yeah, I could,
Okay.
yep, that would work. That would work. I really want to go to Montreal because I've never been to Montreal, but I may be getting deployed in 2026. So, and there, if that happens, there's nothing I can do about that. It just is what it is. But if
We will
it's
eventually.
in,
We will have to eventually meet.
that's what I'm saying. If it's in 2026 in Montreal and you're going because you're like a hop, skip, and a jumping away, but of course I'm deployed, I'm gonna be a skosh upset. It's like, this was the opportunity for Naz and I to finally meet in person and have a drink and celebrate Star Citizen, live and in person, and the government took it away from me. But I hopefully it's a short deployment, and hopefully it's not in October, but we shall see.
Yeah.
That's a ways
Hopefully,
away.
hopefully. Yeah.
Any
I'm
fun,
like
interesting plans coming up for you?
montage. I'm like montage focused on moving, so I have like all ducks are lining up, are getting lined up for that. Streaming. So I had made the promise to mostly myself and kind of the people on my stream, like I was going to try pretty hard. That's not an actual sentence, but anyway, all the way up till October. To really try to make it work and do something. We didn't hit the goal. And that actually naturally kind of faded away because when I got the job now at Walmart, which has been working out beautifully,
Hooray!
I'm super enjoying the job. The only thing I have coworkers that may or may not be there for very long.
Ooh.
And like obviously the pay's not exactly the best. It could always be higher. But I work way harder than I get paid, and I need to fix that. I need to work less hard. But yeah, I love the work. It's good. I'm enjoying it, and I get it's part of my moving plan because I get to get transferred just anywhere I need, assuming they have space. So to keep my job through the move. And as I got that job, I just didn't have the same time I had for streaming. So that I just kind of haven't been streaming for the last almost 3 months now, or over 3 months now. I think I streamed like once or twice after I got the job. So I do want to do some streaming. I don't want to completely abandon it and just never do it again. Like it will pop up eventually when I have no idea. It'll be like once a month, if that. If I like, it's wherever I can find time. It's wherever I can find time.
Fair.
Plans are just basically laser focused on. Let's see what the next month is. Yeah, March is first vacation in Colorado. And all the while till starting. I have to pay off the taxes on the house because this year I'm helping out with that, and then I'll be saving up for a car. By end of March, I'll be able to transfer my job, though I won't have enough money saved up for a move yet, but that will kick in. So you have to be there 6 months. After car and get the insurance on that, start saving up for house stuff and moving. And by 2026, move.
Oh, man.
It's my year. I'm super
That's a lot.
excited. I am like I wish I had the power of montage because like I'm just so ready to be there already. So I'm trying to focus on personal growth in the meanwhile, since most of the ducks are like getting a car and going to Colorado and moving obviously is a year out. I have a lot of time to focus on other things while I'm just trying to save money. So, I have, let's see, I have a cat, so I have the litter box to do, and me and my sister were saving. We were each doing, I think it's Tuesday and Friday. I'm like, well, I'm going to need to eventually do it every day, so I have it now on my calendar for every day. I was actually able, which is really rare, to actually get every task on my calendar done yesterday, and I only have 2 more to get done today. Trying to exercise more, trying to be nicer to family, and resolve any issues with family before moving, as long as I can. Doing the good things. I'm gonna look into better food management. Gonna get stuff for salads and actually make some salads. So I can eat salads with my lunch instead of basically what I've been eating
Roughage,
is 8 pieces
rabbit
of
food.
chicken. Yeah, because my diet currently is horrible. Over the past week, I've had a couple pieces of chicken, lots of pizza rolls, and today McDonald's because I had migraine. It's been terrible, and I'm sure I'm feeling terrible because of it. So more salad, more other things other than just the chicken. But also to get eating because I have a easy lunch, which is a chicken thigh that I cook up on the stove. I just need to add other things than just that because I'll stop at that and not want to make any more food. I'm terrible at making myself food. So yeah, this year is saving up for moving and personal growth.
I am hyped for you.
Awesome.
I don't have any plans. I'm thinking I'll probably attempt to stream tomorrow night. I streamed my first adventure into 4.0 and into Pyro just because I wanted to have my first jump and my first visit to Pyro. First jump in Star Citizen. I wanted it to be on stream, because it was memorable, and I got to do it with Dell from the community. So that was fun. But I haven't streamed Pyro since then just because I wanted to focus on playing the game and seeing how things were running and working, and that trying to stream while you're doing that, like streaming is distracting, and I wanted to be looking at performance, both client and server side, and watching for bugs and stuff. And so it wasn't great streaming material for me. And I didn't want to be distracted, but I think I'm going to try hopefully stream tomorrow. I'll probably have to test the waters to make sure my inventory is working the way it should be, because it wasn't loading the other night when I quit.
I've just decided something.
What's that?
And I'm sorry to derail all your stuff.
No, it's fine.
I'm going to start. Well, other than the 3 fail, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna do more vlog journey stuff because I want to document everything I do this year into finally moving out, and I kind of want that kind of documented. So mostly for me, but if people want to follow along, I'm gonna start doing that.
Naz's
hopefully
journey.
I can wake up. Yep. Hopefully I can wake up early enough to get something recorded tomorrow.
Cool. That's a good idea. Even if it's just for you and posterity.
Yeah.
Well, that is all we have for this evening. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us on your New Year's Eve or into New Year's. Happy New Year's, everybody, from the Pathfinders. We will see you in 2025. Oh, we got to raid somebody. Let's find someone to raid. That would have ruined 2025 for me if I didn't raid someone. I'd have to start all over again. Let's see. Who is playing Star Citizen?
The only person I have is Tomato. I went through and purged a whole bunch of channels both on YouTube and Twitch that I just wasn't really watching because I don't watch a whole bunch of stuff, unfortunately.
Let's see. Hotshot Henry is...
And thank you, Blizzard.
It's a lot of people playing Star Citizen.
Oh, it's almost like a new patch dropped recently. Huh, weird.
Weird. Happy New Year. May the Schwartz be with you. Let's see. Is he the real KG? I do follow them. We're gonna raid. Is Space Tomato on? Why is he not?
What?
Oh, he is.
What is he doing?
Uh,
He's doing New Year celebration things on stream. That's why.
All right, we will raid Space Tomato. Never raided Space Tomato before. Go send Space Tomato some love. Y'all have a good evening. Happy New Year, everybody. Love your faces. Cheers. Goodbye.
Yeah, so
Oh,
be
let's
kind.
start raid. We are unable to raid Space Tomato this time.
Wow. Wow. Try refreshing the page. You might need to refresh the page.
That's odd. That's the first.
I've had it a couple times.
Yeah, still won't let me.
Huh. Just
Well-
post a link in chat.
Let's raid the real KG. He's only got
Ah.
16 viewers. Okay. Hopefully it'll let me do that. It might just be.
Yep.
There we go. Now it's working. All right. Go show them some love. Have a good night. Cheers, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you all. As always, be kind.